Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
A very good evening to everybody joining Evolution Sim Racing for round one of the GT4 Sprint Championship. I'm James Bostock, and tonight I am rejoined by Dara Thacker, who's rejoining Evolution Sim Racing for the commentary. Are you there, Dara?
I am here, and I'm very happy to be here, James.
A very big welcome back, my friend. A very big welcome back. It's been a couple of seasons, I think, since you and Biggles did the GT3 last season, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, it was a couple of years ago, seasons ago, I should say, because we obviously had Chaz in last season, and I think he's going to be racing tonight, which I'm looking forward to. But yeah, a couple of seasons ago, it felt like it's been far too long, though.
Yeah, well, welcome back, mate. Welcome back. Well, we joined for the first round of the championship at Suzuka GP. I just want to go out and say, first of all, that I am the stand-in cameraman and commentator because our resident commentator, Joe Glass, is supposed to be working, but actually I think he's just on holiday. So I've agreed to stand in for him this week and next week. So when you're watching it back, Joe, we've put a few deliberate mistakes in for you to spot, because obviously we know what you like. You like to pull us down for bits and pieces, so you'll no doubt find a couple of the deliberate mistakes that we've put in. But yeah, we're going to do as best to get through this evening. And looking at this timing screen, my goodness me, we have no less than 52 drivers, Dara, for our first round of the season. So I'm not exactly sure how me and you are going to keep up to speed with all the action of this lot.
Yeah, this isn't the biggest circuit either, is it? So 52 cars around here could be quite interesting, but at least we've got those three classes to kind of separate them out, but there's still going to be, 16, 17 drivers in each class, which is crazy. And considering that you're meant to be racing, James, that's one less name that won't be on the grid, but we'll hopefully get in a couple of weeks' time as well.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you've mentioned that, because I can assure you I would much rather be sat in my sim rig than sat here trying to control OBS, SDK live timing, and trying to make sure that I am told that you're going to do most of the heavy lifting tonight. So we'll make it up as we go along, and we'll see how we get on. Thank you to everybody joining us in the stream. If you feel that the volumes are not correct for either myself or Dara, or the background iRacing noise when we get into the stream, please feel free to drop that into the chat and we will do our best. It's probably going to have a few little glitches this week because it's our first time, first season, new drivers, new cars, etc. So yeah, feel free to let us know. Thanks for your feedback, and if it's genuine we'll deal with it, and if it's not we'll just ignore it. So true to form. Okay, so getting into the this evening's event. So we're at the Suzuka circuit in the GP configuration. Quite an interesting circuit, Dara. I think it's not the longest circuit, but there's some definitely challenging corners, notably 130R, the hairpin, and also Spoon. Have you done much racing yourself around here?
Yeah, I mean, this is a circuit that it's used quite a lot, isn't it? A lot of the drivers will know it inside and out. I mean, it's the only figure of eight well, it's one of the only figure of eight circuits really that we go to, Motegi being another one of those, also in Japan, of course. But, I mean, Sector 1, you're looking up through the S's, through Turn 2, 3, 4, up towards Dunlop. It's so difficult to make a move there, isn't it? Difficult to go side by side, so I think the driver's going to have to be careful through there. Middle sector again, you mentioned the hairpin, and Spoon as well. Difficult corners, but you could say that they're overtaking opportunities. And then, of course, through 130R, down into the Casio Triangle. I think a lot of the sends we're going to see are down into turn 15 and 16. And I also seem to remember that when I was commentating on the GT3s, there was a big crash down there, and we caught it, and I think it became the thumbnail. So we might see some more of that tonight.
You're probably talking about the missile, Chris Keenan, yeah, when he hit Gary Mitchell, but we're not allowed to talk about that anymore. So I got my fingers rattled for making quite a funny video, but we might show that in future weeks, possibly next week before I get thrown off. But no, I mean, looking at the circuit, I mean, one thing I did find interesting was I was told that the lap record for GT4s in real life was Ricky Capo in the BMW M4 at last year's Fanatec GT World Challenge. So, and looking at the practice times that these guys are setting already, they seem to be underneath that. So it's going to make some interesting racing. On the point of racing, so just in terms of race format for tonight, so we've got two 30-minute races. The lads are just in the 45-minute practice session at the moment. That's going to be followed by 12 minutes quali, which is 3 laps, and we do that as lone quali just to try and avoid kind of stewards incidents and people blocking, etc. We then have one 30-minute race, which will be followed by a short break, followed by a second 30-minute race where we have a top 10 reverse grid. And for tonight's races, both races will attract the same level of championship points. Race details and settings, all damage is on, all assists off except clutch. Some interesting discussions in the Discord earlier about whether these cars have actually, some have got clutches and some don't. We do have standing starts, so that's going to be interesting, and I'll do my best to try and keep up with. We've got one fast repair allowed per race. There's no pit stops scheduled for tonight. Rob Mackay, one of the series admins, has done some testing to confirm that all cars can run for at least 35 minutes. So he says, Dara. So if you start seeing people dive in the pits, then it could well be that we've got the fuel calculations wrong. But anyway, we will work our way through that. And then the last thing is that as a league, we do kind of incentivise a bit of clean driving on the first lap. So in the steward system, all of the stewards as post-race, the drivers can receive up to double penalty licence points if they get caught up in a Lap 1 incident. So, speaking about the drivers, let's have a look at the lineup. I'll let you do the elite class, Dara, if you want to take that away. Thank you.
Yeah, and there are some quite high I ratings in here, aren't there? Some I think I can only dream of. Yannis Wilber, of course, with the highest, 6.3 thousand, and he comes in as definitely one of the favourites. There's lots of drivers. Tristan de Nobrega, the South African driver, will be here with Jay Koule, Luke Lucchesi, his teammate, or Tristan's teammate, I should say, in the RDSA esports team. William Humphrey, Jeremy Chioka, Ewan Stitchbury, Thomas Saborin, Florentine Marard, James Pearce, Ryan Ottens, and Jeremy Allman to the top 12. They keep coming with Vyman Jimmy, Matt Hoyland, Chaz Drake, of course, as I mentioned, he's done the commentary on the GT3s in the past, Jeremy Litas, Christopher Radloff, Edward May, Sebastian Benet, and Ben Chalcroft. So lots of elite drivers. It's good to have these nice wider, nice berths for the class, isn't it?
It certainly is. It certainly is something that I can only dream of for sure. But a bit more kind of in my street is the Premier class. So I'll have a quick run through. So we've got Josh Ostick for ORA Motorsports, leading the top of the I ratings in the Premier class. So Josh has just made that threshold, which I am told by Ian Stitchbury that Josh was really happy about. We've got Jean-Francois Chiquet for the G League team, Mike Murphy, first of the DXT guys for DXT Emerald. Martin Kenyon's told us that Mike is a very, very quick driver and should definitely be running right at the front of Premier, if not elite, so we'll have to see how he gets on. We've got Baz Shilstra for Vortex Racing. We've got Ryan Rhodes, 4X Racing. Then we've got the two privateers of Maxim Dimitrov, we'll go with. If we butcher any of these names, then just let us know in the Discord and we'll attempt to get it right for next week. We've got Matt Stace, Russell Jakes, King Smurf himself, Russell Jakes for MRC 495. Russell did tell us that he wouldn't be able to make every single round. I don't think Russell's with us tonight, but hopefully we'll get to see him back on track fairly soon. We've got Stephen Donnelly, also in DXT Emerald, Jonas Larson, Flatline Racing Blue. Then we've got the two teammates of Hussein Sarakar Desler and Robin Aston for Suma GP2. Hussein's running the Porsche, Robin's running the Mercedes. We've got Rob Smith for Flatline Racing Red. Dennis Collar had a great season in TCRs last season. Certainly gave me a lot to think about when I was racing against him. Privateer, we've got Pierre Borsk, we'll go with that for Sim Republic Esports. Martin Kenyon joining the DXT team for DXT Cyan. We've got Niazi Ozkinar, which we'll go with, Flatline Racing Blue. Niazi's changed teams 3 or 4 times and landed at Flatline Racing Blue, so hopefully that's where he stays. We've got Henry Coolan, who's a privateer. We've got Rob Mackay, DXT Magenta. We've got myself, not racing tonight, lowest I rating in the Premier class, so that's all of my excuses out the way. And then we've got Rob Pickle, a privateer that did pre-season in the Evo class but showed absolutely fantastic pace, which we've moved up to the Premier class for this season. So as we move on, yes, there is another class. We've got the Evo class drivers, so I'll let you take this one, Dara.
I think you just didn't want to put yourself in Evo because you didn't want to win the title, did you? You wanted to give everybody else a chance. I think that was the agreement, wasn't it?
That's not exactly it. No, that's.
But we'll see who is fighting for the title, because Dale Williams is at the top of it in terms of I rating, but there are quite a few drivers that are in there or thereabouts. Of course, the Dennett Racing driver will be tailed, you'd think, by Robin Noel Brown and Andrew Fellows. They are the top 3 in terms of the I rating coming into this. Gareth Newton and Matteo Jacinto and John Ludbrook have all got I ratings over 1,400. 2 of those drivers, Gareth and John, being the Came GP2 McLaren team. We look further down, Ashley Brooks, Francois Brandet and James Hayworth, a couple of DXT drivers, one for the Emerald and one for the Cyan team. Oliver Lumsden, Matthew Knoll, Jonathan Ty, 11th, 12th and 13th coming into this, but still very much in the fight. Lots of different teams involved here. Steve Ewing, Owen Seward, Steve Rubino, Lewis Nevea, Danny Weir and Mark Wesley, 19 at the moment in this class. A couple more DXT drivers, Cyan and Magenta for Danny Weir and Mark Wesley at the bottom, so lots of talent in here. And again, this looks like it could be quite an interesting one, because there's lots of drivers that could be could be right there.
It's certainly, I have absolutely no idea how we are going to even attempt to keep up with this tonight. But there's also the Teams Championship that's running. So we've got MRC 495, which is Yanis, Russ Jakes and Ashley Brooks. We've got 4X Racing, James Peace and Ryan Rhodes. Alpha One Esports, the South Africans of Ryan Ottens and Christopher Radloff. We've got Kamei GP2 McLaren, made up of someone not too far away, Gareth Newton and John Ludbrook. We've got Dennett Racing, which is William Humphrey and Dale Williams. We've got DXT Cyan, Martin Kenyon, James Hayworth and Danny Weir. DXT Emerald, they're taking over the world, these DXT guys. DXT Emerald, Mike Murphy, Stephen Donnelly, Francois Brandet. DXT Magenta, Matt Hoyland, Rob McKee, Mark Wesley. Flat Cap Racing, Steve Ewing, not sure if he's Bobby and JR's brother, but we'll go with it. Steve Rubino, so the two Americans for Flat Cap Racing. We've got Flatline Racing Blue, Jonas Larson and Niazi Oskinar, we're going to go with Oskinar. That's going to get me all night, I can see. We've got Flatline Racing Red, which is Rob Smith, Andrew Fellers and Oliver Lumsden. Two teams for G League, Jeremy Chioka and Jimmy Vyman. We've got the second G League team, Jean-Francois Chique and Florentine Maroud, if that's correct. We've got ORA Motorsports, Ian Stitchbury, Josh Ostick, Owen Seward. Owen is one of our driver cams tonight, so we'll tell you about that in a moment. RDSA Esports, so reigning champions in GT3, Tristan Dinabrega and Luke Lucchese. Sim Republic Esports, Sebastian Bonnet and Pierre Borsk. And then we've got the Spontex CDM Esports team of Chaz Draycott, Ed May and Ben Chalcroft. And finally, last but by no means least, my two ex-teammates from last year, Hussein Sarakar-Desler and Robin Aston. Wow. So, that's the Teams Championship. A lot to get through, so we're gonna crack on, because I can see that that the qualifying the practice is coming to an end. So prizes to be won in the series, so we're very fortunate. We've got some fantastic personalised trophies to be won thanks to our series sponsors Kamei, and these are awarded to the top 5 drivers in each class, both Elite, Premier and Evo, and also all drivers in the top 5 winning teams. So I think there's a total of something like 30 personalised laser cut trophies to be won. That's not to say that they are the only supporter of the series, Kamei, which we have to give a massive shout out and a big thanks to for the trophies. I know that a certain commentator not too far away from me has actually got one of these on his shelf. So we also have 3 other sponsors that we'd like to give a shout out to and thanks. So GP2 Group, Keenan Eco Energy, which is also the managers of MRC Endurance Team, and Medius, care of Russell Jakes. So big shout out to these guys and a massive thank you. If we don't get time for the rest of the broadcast, then we'll try and come back at the end, but thank you for everything that you've done supporting the league and the series so far. Almost done with the formalities. And as you can see on stream at the moment, we've got 5 driver cams that we're going to be cutting to at various points throughout the evening. So top left we've got Rob Mackay, we've got Francois Brandet top right, Owen Seward kind of middle left, we've got Yanis Albert just climbing back into his rig, looking as cool as a cucumber as usual, and then we've got Andrew Fellows at the bottom. So at various points tonight we will come back and we will have a look at them throughout the evening. So we best get to some driving action and see what's happening out on track, Dara.
Yeah, I was going to say as well, with Yanis getting in, I mean, he looked like he just got his snacks ready, so I don't know how easy he thinks he's going to be able to make it this evening. But he clearly looks relatively at ease. And you mentioned that trophy you got, and I have to say again, thank you very much for getting me that trophy. It meant quite a lot. I've done a lot of broadcasts with my camera on from my desk, and I've noticed that in every single broadcast I will have done since that trophy arrived, that trophy's been in the background of all of my shots on my shelf. Well, so yeah, very much pride of place. So thank you for that.
I think Rob Mackay does something similar actually, but I think the truth is that Rob actually bought one off eBay that somebody was selling, and then just pops it there in the back of his camera. But I didn't tell you that, of course. So we've got Ashley joining us in the chat saying he wants a trophy. Well, this is the season, Ash. This is the season. So as we go into quali. this is where it's likely to start getting a little bit up and down, Dara, when we actually get into the session. So we'll try and
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult when there's so many cars on the circuit, isn't there? Obviously, but um, you know, there can always be a time where we can get a couple of the drivers across the line. But I think watching the tower is going to be quite key for some of these guys, especially if they're crossing the line, because there could be 4 or 5 drivers who cross the line pretty much at the same time in their own sessions. They don't have anybody to really put them off. But going to be interesting, I think. 12 minutes as well. It's not the longest qualifying session that the drivers could have. You know, obviously, some drivers may do series where qualifying's 30 minutes and they have a lot of time set lap times then. But 12 minutes, got to get the lap time in early. And William Humphrey, he's gone out quite early as well, hasn't he? In his brand new, I'm sure, brand new liveried car. Always nice to see the slightly different liveries, isn't it, James? When we come to a new season, because they do make slight tweaks, teams sometimes, don't they?
They do, and I've got a certain couple of drivers that were giving me a little bit of pressure earlier on today, and asking me when the liveries were coming for for our team. So John Ludbrook and Gareth Newton received theirs extremely late. So we'll have to have a look at them a little bit later on and see how they're faring. Just trying to work out why I've got my timing tower that's just temporarily gone off screen, but I'm guessing it's because nobody's actually set a lap at the moment. So let's have a little look at Chaz. So I'm interested to see how Chaz is going to perform tonight. I did race Chaz in the TCR series, and let's just try that. See if we've got a bit better audio there. Yeah, I did race Chaz in the TCR series, and yeah, Chaz was incredibly quick driver for someone who says that he's not a quick driver. He was really, really competitive. I think it did take him a few rounds to kind of find his feet, but once he did, he was absolutely on form. So be interesting to see how he fares tonight.
You know, obviously a commentator as well, isn't he, Chaz? So he's a bit of a jack of all trades. We'll have to see how he does, but he's one of those guys that will always probably do quite a good job and will keep going to the end. So even if something doesn't go quite right in qualifying, you wouldn't put it past him doing a good job in the race, especially when we've got some of the reverse grids coming up for race 2. So that could be something to watch out for. But I mean, first laps, want to really get a time on the board. I don't think these drivers are going to be pushing too hard. I mean, James, you obviously have driven more in this series than me, but in these sessions, I think the first couple of laps, you probably just get the lap time on the board and then try and build on that towards the end. Is that a fair assumption?
Yeah, I mean I think everybody approaches qualifying a little bit differently. So these guys have got 3 laps and 12 minutes to do it. So with a 2-minute lap, they should have enough time. My own way that I do it is to try to get a banker lap in first. And then try and build on that for the second lap. However, I think if you do get an off track in your in the first time that you're out on track, that can really put you off, because then on the second lap you put a bit more pressure on yourself, and then on the third lap, if you manage to miss 2, it's like massive pressure then. And yeah, I've had many a qualifying session kind of ruined because of almost overdriving the car, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, I mean, lots of drivers are prone to doing it. I mean, it does get in your head sometimes, especially if you can't get that good lap time in, or maybe you get a good time in and you think that's a great lap, and then you see some drivers coming in front of you and you're thinking, where am I going to find that time? So some drivers can start to drive over a little bit. There we go, first time on the board. Ryan Ottens has gone fastest. William Humphrey, we're going to see a lot of time, so I think we're going to be able to keep up. Reference for everybody at home that will become pretty clear as we go on, but it's worth noting at the start. The drivers all have, there's 3 different colours next to their names. They are the 3 different classes. Gold is, of course, the elite. The silver, the lighter grey, is the premier. And that darker grey, that closer to black, going to be the Evo. So you can kind of get a sense of which drivers are doing really well in their class. Steve Rubino, for example, doing quite well up in P9 overall for the Evos. But all of the times coming in, they are just going to keep jumping around, aren't they, James? William Humphrey with the fastest time so far, but that is likely to change. Fellows is up there. Ben Shalcraft is up there now into P6. Loads of times to come in. Thomas Sabornin, or Sabanan, I should say, is up into P6. There's so many drivers yet to come as well. And I think they're all going to be trying to get towards the top, but Yes, I mean, Bash Schulstrup, P19, looking to do a little bit better. Vyman Jimmy, he's got a purple sector though. He might go to the top, and P4, James.
Yes, I don't. I'm looking at these now. I can see Martin Kenyon's just popped one in P9. So Martin, which is the highest place Premier driver. As I look down the list, we've got Steve Rubinho, was in 13th, that's now been popped out by Sebastian Bonet. He's in 14th, highest placed Evo driver. We've got Andrew Fellows in P16. We're just currently on board with Oliver Lumsden at the moment for Flatline Racing. So Oliver hasn't yet put a time in, so I'm just trying to keep up with the guys that haven't yet got a time in and hopefully are going to get one in, as we go to trying to navigate this screen with what I can only see as kind of 50 odd cars is going to be interesting to stay in the league. So let's have a look at the individuals. So we got Martin Kenyon. Martin's coming towards the end of the lap. Is he going to improve on his previous lap? I'm guessing that this is probably going to be Martin's lap 2, and he does. Martin stays in 12th, and then we've got Matt Hoyland just behind. Just trying to catch some of these drivers. Doesn't look like we've got a time on the board for Chaz Draycott yet. Another driver that I want to sort of mention is Jay Corley. So Jay has been signed up in the league for GT4. So Jay was helping us a little bit last season with the TCR league that we ran. Jay's a fairly well-known streamer on Twitch. I think in the description below you can see many of the drivers' point of views that are streaming. So Jay's done very kindly put together a bit of an initiative of all the links for us. Yeah, 4K iRacing driver, and Jay just pops it in at 14th place. So yeah, good for Jay. He'd be pleased with that, no doubt. It's kind of difficult to keep up with who's coming through here, Dora.
With the gaps that we're seeing as well, these are the gaps between the drivers being, nothing more than a couple of tenths. And generally, I mean, I can see between Maxime Dimitrov and Martin Kenyon, 17th and 18th, there is nothing between them. I mean, it's just going to be lap after lap of trying to work out who's going where. Justin Rain went fastest, 2-minute 8.0, ahead of William Humphrey, nearly a quarter of a second clear of Humphrey at the moment at the top. Stitchbury was 4th, Lucchesi went 5th as well, Denobrega up into P10, Chike is up into P7 as well. That's put him onto provisional pole in the Premier class, but there's still a little bit of time for these drivers to get a couple of laps in. Drivers coming into the pit lane though may struggle to get out and get another lap time on the board, but another driver who needs a lap time, Yanis Albert, currently 44th of all of the drivers out there at the moment, and needs a lap time on the board. I think we're following him now in his 221. Multicoloured, I think it's fair to say, down the side of that car, looking lovely. You wouldn't be able to tell it from the front though. A pretty silver in that Mercedes, but when you get to the side, array of colours for the man that we have seen getting his snacks ready for the race. I hope he was getting ready for qualifying though, because he needs this lap time on the board.
Yeah, I mean, Yanis was definitely one of the series favourites. So, I mean, Yanis will definitely be looking to put a time on with only 2 minutes to go. We'll see how Yanis does here as he comes across the line now. Has he improved? He has. He's gone up into P2. So what I do need to point out is that Justin Rame joined the series right at the last minute. He was on the waiting list, and we had a driver withdraw this morning, and Justin came back to me only this afternoon, so we didn't have time to put him. But Justin is definitely one of the favourites for the elite class, 7K iRacing driver for the Grid and Go team, as far as I'm aware. So we've kind of got big hopes for Justin to give Yanis a good run for his money. We've also got Luke Lucchesi, that is the 2 times back-to-back GT3 champion. So Luke will be looking to find his feet in these GT4s as well. We'll try and go to the tower grouped, and we'll see where we've got. So yeah, we've got Justin leading the elite class, we've got Jean-Francois Chiquet leading the Premier class, and we've got Dale Williams leading the Evo class. So drivers that have not put a lap in that may be a little bit disappointed would be Ashley Brooks, Oliver Lumsden, and James Hayworth. So, yeah, I think they will be kind of disappointed with that, Dara, because this is going to put them at the back of a 52 car grid. Oh dear, that doesn't sound safe, does it? Really, being at the back
No.
of a 52 car grid.
Well,
I
to be
don't.
fair, I think if we were at Monza, I think I'd rather be at the back of a 52 car grid, because I think if I was anywhere in front of that, I'd be concerned for my life going into the opening couple of corners. You don't really have those concerns here at Suzuka, but I mean, you can still get a couple of incidents into turn one, and you don't really want to be finding yourself side by side through the opening few corners either, do you?
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what my strategy would be in terms of maybe, yeah, maybe leaving it counting to three before I accelerate. The standing start's going to be interesting as well, because as we know, some of these cars, or as we're told, I don't know it, but some of these cars have not got a clutch. So yeah, that's going to be kind of interesting as well. We've got the I'm just trying to catch now. So Dale Williams is the leading Evo driver in P23. Um, he's jumped quite a few. He's jumped a couple of the elite drivers and many of the Premier drivers. So I mean, yeah, this field is going to be extremely full. I don't know how my PC is going to cope with rendering all of these cars, but we will do our best. So right, we'll try and go to the grid. So I don't know if you want to run through the grid, Dora. We'll as quick as we as quick as we can.
Yeah. Hey,
Let's get it on.
let's
Let's
get it
get
then.
it on.
Justin Rame then on pole, the Canadian, 2 minutes 7.949 was the benchmark, and everybody followed in tow. Yannis Hulbert, P2. William Humphrey and Mike Murphy on the second row. Mike Murphy, of course, leader in the Premier class. Ryan Ottens and Ewan Stitchbury on the third row, with Lutlu Chasey and Vyman Jimmy on row number 4. Jean-Francois GK, Jeremy Litas, row 5, Dinobrega, Saborin, Shalcroft and Allemans, 13th and 14th. Draycott, Kenyon, Peace, Cooley, Donnelly and Bonnet are the top 20 on the grid, and we'll roll on to Aston, Dimitrov, Williams, Hoyland, Collar and Marouard in the top 26. Oshinar, Fellows, Ludbrook and Coolan are in the top 30. Ahead of Ostick, Rubino, Shilstra, McKee, Smith, Pickle, Saraka, Dessler, Newton, Branday and Ed May, the top 40. We roll on as they all carry on to load into the grid. Not many more left. Matt Stace, Steve Ewing, Jonas Larson, Matthew Knoll, Owen Seward, Danny Weir, Ryan Rhodes, Mark Wesley, Lewis Nevea, Ashley Brooks, the top 50, with James Hayworth, Oliver Lumsden 51st and 52nd. I think we've done that before they've all come in. If they're going to have a formation lap now, James, I'm going to be frustrated because I absolutely bolted through that. But I think they might be lining up to go. There's a couple of the flashing lights on, and is this the 5 red lights coming on? We'll wait and see. I mean, are we having a formation lap, James, or are we going straight into it?
No, we're going straight into the standing starts. I was just trying to work out how far back the actual standing starts have gone, because I'm guessing that some of these guys are going to be all the way around the corner, and they might even be in the chicane. So yeah, I'll try and keep the cameras rolling, Dora, while you take it away.
Right, here we go. 5 red lights, opening round of the season, and there are 52 cars on the grid as we get racing. Cars all over the road as we make the way towards turn 1, 4, 5, maybe even 6 wide in the mid-pack, as Justin Rame has got the launch on down in towards turn 1. William Humphrey and Ryan Ottens will follow in tow as they get their way down into the first braking zone of the racetrack, but still in behind, 2 wide for P number 5, as Hulbert and Stitchbury come together a bit. Stitchbury in the purple and black car. Yannis Hulbert just about keeping it together, losing it though through turn 2. That could create a pile-up. Ewan's got through, but everyone in behind being collected, and this could be absolute carnage off the line.
Oh my word, yeah, just trying to keep up with what's going on. I'm guessing that we're going to need to let this race just settle down a little bit for us to work out kind of who the winners and the losers are from the start. But yeah, this looks absolutely chaotic as the guys get through. I see that we've got Mike Murphy, who's made his way up to P4. Leading Premier driver. I'm just trying to work out where the leading Evo driver is. It looks to be John Ludbrook in the Kamei GP2 McLaren, who is the leading Evo driver. So we'll stay on board with John just for the moment. and see. It looks to be John. I'm just looking down the colour charts as we get through. We've got numerous incidents. We've got Rob Mackay went off track. We've got Ed May that went off track as well. So we'll try as it settles down. We'll try and come back later on and give a little bit of insight into what happened there.
Yeah, a lot went on, didn't it, down at the opening couple of corners. We did see that Yannis Silveira's gone around. He's going to have to recover his position, and you can see he's already all the way off the bottom of the top 44 that we get on the timing tower on the left-hand side. So lots of work to do. Mike Murphy, something's happened to him, I think, up at 130i, dropping down the order like a stone. He was in the top 5. He was leading, wasn't he? You can see him in the wall there, backward, facing the wrong way, and Mike Murphy, he was leading that Premier category, but now facing the wrong way in an awful place to try and spin it back around. And the DXC Emerald driver should be able to now, waiting a little bit longer. That's just not the start you want to have. And it's going to give Jean-Francois Chiquet the lead in the class, and he's up in P8 overall with quite a few cars between himself and Martin Kenyon, who he's fighting with. Jay Calais in the yellow and green car on the inside into the opening couple of corners. Can he get this one done all the way through? Yes, he can. 180 degrees of rotation gives him P number 18, and that's Maxime Dimitrov he got through. He's got to now get through the two leaders in the Evo category, despite being an elite driver himself.
So yeah, he's sat behind John Ludbrook and Dale Williams, but that looks to be a little bit of a gap that John and Dale have pulled, as it looks like Dale's trying to make a bit of a move there up the inside. Let's have a little look at. It looks like he's going to try and go around the outside. That'd be a brave move. So let's have a look at Dale and see what he can see. So yeah, we're on board with Dale now. So he's got a little bit of a gap, 1.5 seconds back to Jay Corley. So I'm guessing that Dale will be kind of on one side be thinking about the class win for the Evo class, but on the other hand he'll be thinking also this is not too bad to say that he's in P17, first lap or first couple of laps in. Yeah, not a bad start for John and Dale. And then they've also got Andrew Fellows that's running in P20. So we've got Andrew Fellows, looks like he's just made a move on, is it Maxime? Just got the lead on these three guys. And is that Matt Hoyland as well? Matt Hoyland is just behind. I mean, Matt is an elite driver. Yeah, how is Matt going to approach this?
Difficult, isn't it, down towards 130i. It's probably going to have the inside line as well. Doesn't really have any choice of where to go. Dimitrov's on the outside, but inside for Matt Hoyland. We'll make sure that P20 overall is his. We'll have to try and make a move somewhere to get through on Andrew Fellows, but just in behind as well. I think that's Oshinar down the inside, making the move in that red car on, which was Maxim Dimitrov, and he's dropped now 3 positions in the space of half a lap, so not necessarily the best of tours around the Suzuka circuit for Dimitrov. And now going to be careful because Steve Rubino is not too far off the back of him. Notice as well that Jay Corley has gained quite a bit of time to John Ludbrook and Dale Williams, and you were kind of touching on it before, but it's going to be interesting to see how they deal with the likes of Jay Corley coming through. Not really their race in a class when 2 classes above is the number 289, but yeah, John Ludbrook and Dale Williams, they won't want to give this up, but at the same time, you know, the bigger picture, they'd likely want to probably not cost themselves too much time with Jay, especially with Andrew Fellows in behind, but it looks like they may have been in contact up in front. James Lucchesi and Stitchbury again maybe having some kind of incident. These guys are going to come through. There's Stitchbury on the inside, there's Lucchesi on the outside, and they are both dropping down the order as well, and it's just going to open the door to even more drivers to come through as they get through Degner 1. That is not the place you want to go side by side at.
No, we've got Luke coming back on the track there. I think it was Luke, as he's just making his way. Yeah, we're on board with Luke now. So Luke's, he's kind of thrown me there because Luke's not got his normal livery on. So he's trying to recover around the outside against Jay Corley. Then we've got the 44 of Andrew Fellows just behind him. And it looks like John Ludbrook's had a bit of an incident because he's disappeared from this group. So we've now got Dale's actually managed to pull away. So let's have a look at what we've got in the group. So we've got Dale 1.3 seconds ahead of John. Oh no, John's still there. He's still tucked in behind, but Dale's certainly put a bit of a gap in. Andrew Fellows another 1.3 behind. That's in the Evo class. We've got Francois Brandet in 6th place, with Gareth Newton right behind Francois. So we'll just have a quick look at Gareth Newton and see how he's getting on. I mean, finding these guys in the towers, one thing, because we've got one of the flatline cars looking to make an overtake round the outside, car 120. So that's Jonas Larsson. Just took,
different class as well, isn't it?
Yeah, just took Florentine. So yeah, we'll jump back up to the front. So we've got at the front of the elite class, we've got 3 cars that are running away with it. So we've got William Humphrey leading the way, with Ryan Ottens and Justin Rain just behind. So if we jump on board with Justin, these 3 have pulled a gap of 5 seconds to Jimmy Vyman. So these 3 are kind of in a class of their own. Yeah, that is, I mean, I wonder if that's maybe to do with one of the incidents, that they just managed to get some kind of space ahead of the other drivers and just sort of made the way through and almost uninterrupted by it, because that's a fairly sizable lead, 5 seconds back to Jimmy Wyman.
Part of me feels like there may have been something to do with that gap in the possible collision that we had between Lucchese and Stitchbury, who of course were in that kind of area, 4th, 5th zone, and then dropped all the way down the order after something that happened up at Dunlop. Clearly wasn't very good for both of them, but yeah, they both had some incident. It allowed Jimmy to come through, Tristan to come through, Jeremy, Thomas, Ben. I mean, they're all in a bit of a train now, so it's going to be interesting to see if anybody can seal a bit of a march on anybody else in this train, because you can see it doesn't just include the elite drivers. A couple of Premier drivers are in here as well, and not least Chiquet, the leader in that class, but also towards the back of it, Chaz Draycott, P9 in class, behind Ben Chalcraft, been quietly working his way up the order in the opening stages, and wouldn't mind getting himself a couple of more spots ahead to try and get himself into a great position for a reverse grid spot. But also got to be careful, because right up behind him is not Jeremy Allemans, I don't believe. I think that is Jean-Francois Chiquet, or it could be Martin Kenyon. I think actually it is Martin Kenyon. Oh no, it is Jeremy. Oh, it's Jeremy Allemans. My bad. I've been looking at the wrong thing. It's Jeremy Allemans, 3/10 line. That makes more sense to me.
Yeah, I wonder if I mean, Chaz has looks like he's just started to drop off the back a little bit of Ben Chalcraft. I wonder if Chaz dropped a little tow rope onto Ben for the first few laps just to get him through, because yeah, this is very impressive from Chaz with a P9 in class. He always plays himself down as not being very quick, but I think, as we can see, Chaz can more than hold his own when he does eventually get out on track. So just looking at the Premier class, so just kind of focusing a little bit on the Premier class for the moment. So we've got Jean-Francois in the lead of the Premier class, who's actually running P6 overall. So Jean-Francois is for the G League team is doing a fantastic job there. Let's go back to the overall standings and see. Yeah, he's right in the middle of that elite. He's got 5 elite drivers in front of him and 5 elite drivers behind him. So I'm guessing he's going to be looking to try and hold this position. Also, I guess where the crossover comes in on, you know, the thresholds between Premier and Elite. As the series admins, you've got to kind of put those thresholds in somewhere, and obviously when you get to the Elite drivers at the bottom of Elite and the top of Premier, there is literally no difference in terms of pace. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out.
Yeah, but lots of battling up and down the field, isn't there? I think Chiquet wants to just kind of keep himself out of it, because this is just the perfect position, really. If you are a Premier driver, you're not necessarily in the the hard scrapping battle for the lead overall, but then you've got a nice bit of a gap to the drivers behind in your class that will be losing you points. And I think for Jean-Francois at the moment, he'll be very pleased with how this is going, but maybe a little bit worried about Jeremy Litas just in behind, albeit going slightly faster on that last lap, as we have got through at least the first third of this race, I should say. Of course, throughout the season, there are different formats for the evenings. We will either have two 30-minute races, which we're having tonight, three 20-minute races, which we will have next week at Road Atlanta, or we will have one 15-minute race and one 45-minute race, like we will have in 2 weeks' time at the Hungaroring. So all of these drivers are having to adapt to different formats, but it also does mean that, you know, a plan, a strategy for how you want to race a race this week won't hold up next week, when you've got three shorter races and you've got more opportunities to pick up points, but then more opportunities to lose points depending on what kind of positions you're in and how you look at it. So these drivers trying to, you know, do the best job they can with this kind of format, but all of that learning is going to really go out of the window for next week, because they're going to have to learn, or not learn necessarily, but have to adapt to a new format, try and get more points on the board with the format that we're going to have, and it's going to be really interesting to see throughout the season how these drivers manage it. But at the moment, a lot of the drivers, I think this middle phase of the race, we're seeing a couple of drivers being a little bit more conservative, aren't we? Because no one's going for too many big sends. We could have seen a couple of sends there at the hairpin. One of the heaviest braking zones, if not the heaviest braking zone on the racetrack, because that's all out of shape there from Rob Pickle. I think he did get all in a pickle there.
That's the first pun of the night. The first pun of the night comes in. Yeah, there's a group of them. There's a group of them running together, and then there's that gap back to Francois. I mean, I know that Francois has been putting quite a bit of practice in recently, so let's have a little jump to Francois and see if we can get on board with him. So just testing out the driver cam, so Francois is concentrating, as you can see there. He did tell me earlier on that one of the reasons why he was really pleased to get on the driver cam was that it made sure that he was going to tidy up his living room. So he did tell me not to say anything, but obviously it's my job to let that secret out. So, but yeah, Francois has really upped his pace over the last kind of couple of months, really. I think he's upgraded some of his equipment and got on to triples, and yeah, he's had absolutely amazing pace in the GT3s, and probably that will transfer over to the GT4s. I guess there's some differences though between the GT3s and the GT4s in terms of car control and, you know, how you approach a circuit like this.
Oh, absolutely, and it can be so different for these drivers. The drivers that adapt best are obviously going to be doing the best at the moment, but it's the drivers that can also do well on the GT3s and the GT4s and really anything else in iRacing, which is how they get such high iRating levels, right? But the adaptation can be difficult, especially when you're changing during the week. I mean, a lot of these guys obviously going to be doing GT3 Championship, which happens on the Thursday. They'll then come back to this on a Monday. So really, you know, half a week in each car, a different track, you know, it can be slightly difficult, but the drivers that adapt best are going to find themselves doing the best throughout the season, as Raim, who hasn't been given that kind of length of time to try and practice too much for this race, is going for the outside on Ryan Otten's. Otten's back up the inside, there's contact going to Spoon, going across the front end of the car. Otten's nearly into the wall. We'll have to see if he got himself out of it, but not what the Canadian would have wanted whatsoever. Jimmy's going to come through, Tristan Obriga's going to come through, I'm sure. Ryan Ottens, that is gutting for him. He was fighting for P2. Now he's going to find himself dropping down the order quite severely, I think, unless he can get it back around again, like he did. And in the end, he may only lose one position if he can get back past Jimmy Wyman. He
must have made a fantastic recovery there, so I feel a bit guilty because that's our first commentator's curse of the season. So yeah, apologies for that, Ryan. But yeah, we'll try and have a. Oh, there's a little bit of contact there with Tristan. So I know that Ryan and Tristan know each other well. They sometimes race in the same chat. Ryan's going in, so must have damage, so we'll stay back on board. So yeah, nobody else will be pitting, so that's going to cost Ryan very, very heavily for a stop and to take that fast repair. I'm guessing he's probably thinking, if I get out, maybe I can get out in P10, which would give him pole position for the following race, but I'm not sure that's likely with 15 minutes remaining. We'll see. Ryan is coming back out the grid. Where is he going to rejoin? Let's have a look in the overall standings. Ryan's going to rejoin in 21st place, so just tucking in there behind Steve Rubinho. He's got Steve, he's got Andrew, John. Yeah, he's got 11 drivers to pass Dara in 15 minutes, so that's going to be an interesting one to see how Ryan can pick up the pace and see whether or not he can make his way back through up to that top 10 I guess even if he finishes outside of the top 10, every driver he passes now is going to be a driver he doesn't have to pass at the start of the next race.
Yeah, and I think that'll be in the back of his mind, won't it? I mean, he knows that it's not gone necessarily very well at this point, and he just needs to get through these guys as well as he can. But he will also know that they will bunch up, won't they? When we get towards that second race, he'll have more of a chance there. But for the drivers around him, the likes of Rubino, Fellows, Ludbrook, he will want to get through these guys as quickly as he possibly can to try and work towards the likes of Oshinar, Hoyland, Cooley, because he's definitely got the pace, there's no doubt about it, Ottens, throughout this race and in this car, but he just needs to be able to show it with a little bit of clean air. Inside line, he was on the outside last time at Spoon, and it didn't work out well. He's not necessarily gone for the inside line, backed out of it a little bit. Through Spoon curve, through the double apex left-hander, using all of the track on the outside there to try and get the best exit possible. And I think he's going to have quite a good run at Steve Rubino here, up towards 130R. Will he be able to pull alongside by the time we get to the corner? Inside, likely your best bet. I think he's going to have to sit in behind unless he goes for it late. Little bit of an inside move from Steve Rubino to cover it off, but he's gone deep through 130R, and this could open the door for Ottens now.
Yeah, he's let Ottens through. He's let Ottens through. I think he's realised it's an interclass battle. Otten's got massive overspeed into the chicane, so his next target's going to be Andrew Fellows. So speaking of Andrew Fellows, let's have a quick jump on board with Andrew and see how Andrew's getting on. So currently in P19, Andrew doesn't look too stressed there for the Flatline Racing red team, so looks like he's having a steady run out. I'm guessing that he's going to be probably P3 in class, looks to be P3 at the minute. He's got John Ludbrook ahead of him, also in the Evo class, so Andrew may well be thinking to tee up a move. Dale looks kind of a long way up the road now, so Andrew will probably be thinking, right, P2, as if I'm not wrong, it looks like he's got a very, very hungry Ryan Ottens right behind him. So let's jump back on board and see if we can see where Ryan is. Yeah, it looks like, I mean, Ryan, these two guys are battling in front of him. Oh, as John is just blinking for a minute there. Yeah, this is going to get tasty between these two, because he's going to want to get past, but they're not going to want to let him past too easily because they've got their own battle going on.
Yeah, and inside line. Now that's a bit of a late send, just managing to keep it out of the back of, I believe it was John Ludbrook there, just about managing to get through an Andrew first, but Fellows, maybe not terribly pleased with the move. Ottens, though, would have been a bit of a co-brown, though, because that was very close. The back of John Ludbrook and nearly ended his race, but now we come into Spoon once again. No pressure on Ryan Ottens to take any line other than the racing line. No pressure from behind, no real move happening up in front. But now he's going to have the slipstream on John Ludbrook, and John Ludbrook's not going to have the benefit of that from anybody else. So you'd be hard pressed to say that Ottens isn't going to at least go for it down in towards the chicane. Look, again, he's got a tow rope pretty much attached to the car in front. Inside line, he'll go through 130R. Will John Ludbrook fight this too hard? Side by side they will go. Ludbrook, very wide line, nearly going off the circuit, but in the end letting through Ryan Ottens in a relatively nice way, but allowing Andrew Fellows to have a bit of an outside line in towards the Casio triangle, through the left, or through the right I should say, in towards the left. Andrew Fellows went for it, couldn't get it in the end, and now Ryan Ottens can try and run away at the front. He's got 4.7 seconds to catch Oshinar now, and that's the next car he's got to aim for with 10 minutes on the clock. Okay,
so let's get a little bit downfield and see how we're getting on here. So we've got Owen Seward, who is another one of our drivers tonight for ORA Motorsports with the driver cam. So Owen is currently running in P37, 1.1 seconds behind Florentine. So I think Owen will be quietly pleased with this race so far. Let's have a quick look to see if Owen looks stressed. No, Owen looks nice and chilled, kind of having a cruise round. Yeah, I think Owen will be kind of fairly pleased if he's not had any incidents. He's got Ashley Brooks catching him, so 1.4 seconds behind. So I know that Ashley's picked up quite a lot of pace recently, so Owen will probably be aware of that and see how he gets on. As we jump back to the main feed, another battle that I've just been trying to keep a little bit of an eye on is Steve Rubino. So there's this 4-car battle. It looks to me, Dara, like John Ludbrook maybe just holding this pack up a little bit, because there's quite a gap there. But I mean, if he's defending his position, then he's defending his position, and it's the guys behind him's job to get past him.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? Especially when you're in such a tight train like this. But Ludbrook doing a good job to try and almost defend the position. Andrew Fellows trying to find his way through. And I think this is where Ludbrook's going to come under a lot of pressure here. Up towards 130R once again. It seems like it's a bit of a pressure point with the amount of slipstream that you can get down here in towards 130R. Was there a car on the inside as well? I think there may have been, as they fly their way through. No, it might have just been my eyes as they get in towards the Casio triangle. Oh, bit of a wider line taken. Is that by Rob Pickle? Inside line. They're 2x2 nearly as they make their way in towards the Casio triangle. Bit of a barged effort in behind. That's the 173 of Dimitrov in the Iron Brew car, making his way through the final couple of corners. Clearly had a bit of a drink down that straight, because he really sent that in towards the Casio triangle. Shame for him that it didn't quite work out.
And look who's caught up right behind Rob Pickle. So we've got Francois Brandet that's actually made up that gap. We jumped on board with him earlier, so Francois has caught up. So he's going to be looking to get stuck into this battle as well. So just looking at another little battle that we've seen on track. This is actually for the podium in the Premier class. So we've got Jean-Francois Chiquet, who is running first place in Premier, followed 11 seconds behind is Martin Kenyon for the DXT team, and right behind him we've got Robin Aston in the Suma GP2 Mercedes. Yeah, try and say that when you've had a few beers. Yeah, so these guys are running. This is for P2 in class, and they've got a 6-second gap over Niazi in 4th place. So I would imagine that Robin is probably thinking, can he get closer to Martin? Robin's put quite a bit of practice in for tonight's race, so you know, can he get onto the back of Martin Kenyon and just try and get a little bit of a slipstream down one of the long straights? And then behind Robin we've also got Jeremy Orlemans. So Jeremy used to race with ESR back in the GT3 in the first couple of seasons. Jeremy's rejoined us this season. Jeremy's another quick driver. Jeremy's running in the elite class, so is he going to try and put a move on Robin, or is he just going to let Robin and Martin battle it out, or is Robin going to see that he's in a different class and just maybe let him through?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of it's the trade-off that you've got to work out when you're in different classes, and it's kind of an added element that you get in class racing that you don't get when it's just one big melee. Everybody's fighting over exactly the same position at the same time, and it does have a little bit of an element of, or a different element for the drivers to have to think about as we go through the race, and they've got more to have to worry about and more to decide really as we get in towards what is now the final 5 minutes. Turn 1 move, is it on now? Down in towards turn 1, that's Jay Corley. We've seen him make a couple of moves inside at turn 1. This will be the second one that we've seen today, and he's made it, and he's now going to put Matt Hoyland under pressure as he's in the Mercedes from the car behind. And I don't even think they are going to be in the same class. Not terribly true, that is in the 223.
That's Matt Hoyland in the 223. He's making his way past.
Oh, he's Matt Hoyland in the 223.
Yeah, he's making his way past Dale Williams. So
that's it.
He snuck his way through through. Jay Corley opened the door, and Matt Hoyland said, "Yeah, thank you, I'm coming." So yeah, I'm guessing that Dale won't fight them too much because he's got that Evo lead with a 9-second gap. So he'll be kind of thinking. I'm sure he'll be thinking, "Oh yeah, off you go, boys. You know, you can go and battle away, and I'll just keep that."
Yeah, I mean, it's great when you've got the all of the classes, and then there we go, you can see everybody in the order. Dale Williams Glenn just in behind Jay Corley and Matt Hoyland, but these guys have been fighting for quite a while. They are fighting over what is 9, 10, 11, 12th, or 11th, I should say. Jay Corley's in 11th in the elite class. I keep wanting to call it Premier as my default, but there's also the elite class now since I've come back. So they're in the elite class. You've also got with Chike, Kenyon and Aston, they're the top 3 in that Premier class, and Dale Williams the leader in the Evo class. We've got at least one driver from each of the classes inside the top 16, and I think we've got at least 3 from each of the classes inside the top 20, which is quite good to see, because even though obviously it's been done on the iRating, some drivers are having a good race, and they're not necessarily conforming to the categories that they were putting at the start of the season, and it does create a bit of a conversation that they'll want to get moved up after a while, James, won't they? That's going to be a conversation you're going to have.
I'm going to leave that to the other guys, Dara. So yeah, you can't be on cameras and look at where people are in which group. So I'll leave that to the other series admins. But yeah, I mean, as we're looking back here, these two guys at the front, William Humphrey and Justin Rame, I wonder if Justin is kind of biding his time here. He's got 3 minutes 30 left in the session, so I just wonder whether Justin's biding his time and he will make a move towards the end, or if actually, you know, he's going all out to stay up with William. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see as the last couple of laps tick away. Probably got 2 laps remaining. The other interesting point at the moment is who's in 10th place is Chaz Draycott. So Chaz Draycott, at the moment, Chaz is actually going to be on pole for race 2. So Chaz has got Martin Kenyon right behind him. Looks like, is that Martin Kenyon? No, he's got Rob Mackay behind him, because Rob must be a lap down. I was getting panicky there, thinking, have I missed Rob Mackay's race? I thought Rob had an absolutely storming run and we'd missed it, but fear not, that's not the case, or Rob will be disappointed. Sorry, Rob. But yeah, no, so Chaz is going to be on pole for race 2 if it stays like this at the moment. We've got Robin holding his own here against Martin. Doesn't look like he's managed to make any inroads on Martin, and also Jeremy looks like he's holding station as well behind Robin, so maybe that's just how it's going to unfold. Looks to me like with 1 minute 50 to go, they may be on their last lap, so we'll try and see as Robin comes through if we've got the white flag, just so that we can try and stay aware. No, so it will be one more lap plus this one.
I was going to say, I was looking at the time when the others were crossing the line, and I think they crossed the line with about 2 minutes, something like 2 minutes, was it 6 or 8? It was close. It's going to be very close. Give it a second or two. I think we may get 1 extra lap, but it depends if these two start fighting, because it could be that they cross the line with about 2 minutes 8 to go, and it's a 2 minute 8 lap, so it could be really, really close and right on the line as to whether we get 1 extra or whether this will be the final lap. If this was just William Humphrey up in front on his own, he could probably manage that gap on his own and just decide, okay, I might just decide to slow down a little bit and give off a couple of seconds because I'm not going to lose anything, and it means I don't have to do an extra lap. But with Justin Rame running behind him, he's going to be pressured all the way to go to the line, whether it's going to be one more after this or whether this is going to be the checker. Justin Rame, surely though, going to have to go for it as they get in towards the Casio triangle for what could be the final time. Good exit it seems as well for the 297 out of Spoon Curve up towards 130R we go. Is this the final time? We will find out when they hit the line. 25 seconds is all we've got as we get in towards the final sector. Rame looking for the inside, not going to be able to get it. Going to have to get a good run through here at 130R, but I think he's just too far back, isn't he, to make any kind of move. In towards the Casio triangle we go. Humphrey's going to bounce over the right, going to bounce over the left. And how much time have we got as they come out of the final corner? Watch that time count down. That's 5. This is going to be so close in the first race of the season 1. I think if we've gone another lap, I think we have, haven't we? We have. And that's the white flag flying, James.
So we've got 1 lap to go. Well, we'll keep our eye on these two guys, as it looks like Justin was going to make a move on the inside. But I'm also conscious that we've got a few other moves going on. We've got Robin Aston dropping downfield. And we've got Martin Kenyon, who's got Jay Corley right behind him. It looks like Jay's just made a move. Has Martin got a slowdown maybe? Has he let Jay through? I'm not sure. Is Martin doing it tactical because he doesn't want to get anywhere near that top 10 to be at the front for the second half of the race? I don't know. But yeah, we've got some close fights. We've also got some some fights downstream as well. We've got Florentine looking to get a move done on Matthew Noel. So we've not mentioned Matthew so far. The number 23 driver looks like Florentine's going to try a move up the inside, doesn't get it done, and then you've got the number 2, which I think is Oliver Lumsden behind. He's sitting there just waiting to see if he can get into the action. We've got a Gareth Newton that's coming to the pits. So I'm wondering, Dara, if we've got some of the guys in some of the cars have started to run out of fuel and they've had to come in for a quick splash and dash. And does that mean that at the front we're going to get some of the guys that are going to run out of fuel? My goodness.
Oh, I hope not.
My goodness.
That would be quite drastic on the opening round.
Well, it's
leave it till mid-season.
It's happened to us before.
Happened immediately.
Yeah, it looks like. I mean, it looks like these two guys. So the Mercedes, and it looks like Justin's going to try a move around the outside. He's definitely not going to get it done there as he gets an off track. So this could be the. We did have it in one of the races in TCR last season where we just slightly miscalculated the fuel, and some of the drivers had to do a bit of a stop. So here we go. We've got William Humphrey taking the win from Justin Rame with a 13-second gap to Tristan and Abrega, who's coming through now in 3rd place with Jimmy Wyman just behind. And then we've got the leading Premier driver of Jean-Francois in 5th, Thomas Saber in 6th, Luke Lucchese in 7th, Ben Shalcroft in 8th, Chaz Draycott in 9th. We'll just jump up with these guys as they're coming through the finish. We've got Jay Corley in 10th, so Jeremy Orlemans just managed to secure that P10 for the pole in the second race. We've got Matt Hoyland finishing P14, we've got Robin Aston P15, Francois Brandet crosses the line. We've got Rob Pickle coming across the line in 17th, Josh Ostick in 18th, Martin Kenyon 19th, and Ryan Stitchbury rounding out the top 20. And it looks like we have some drivers with no fuel.
Oh no. Helping each other out down towards 130R. Oh no.
Well, this
Oh, that's not fun, is it? That's a cruel to the line, isn't it?
It looks like Ashley's run out of fuel, and Ashley is being pushed by the number 123 car, which is Matt Stace. So that's really good of Matt. As long as Matt doesn't run out of fuel, pushing him. But yeah, so
they're getting there at least.
They are getting there. So John Ludbrook 21st, Stephen Donnelly 22nd, Steve Rubinho 23rd, Niazi in 24th, James Hayworth 25th, Rob Smith 26th, Matthew Noel 27th, Florentine 28th, Henry Coolan in 29th, Jonas Larsson top 30, Danny Weir in 31st, Owen Seward 32nd. We're now down to, we've got a bit of it missing on the timing tower there as Ashley gets pushed across the line. Oh no, he's been pushed into the pits. Well, there you go.
He'll get there easily in the pit lane, surely, won't he? It's downhill. Should be able to get a bit of a roll going.
Well, where did that half an hour go? My goodness me. My goodness me.
He needs to roll a bit further. Can he get into the pit lane? Oh no. Oh, is he going to be able to cross the line? That's the question. He's still rolling. Is that the line, the timing on? There we go.
There we go.
Crossing the line. P40. Great stuff from Ashley Brook. It's the commitment that counts, isn't it, James? It's not really the finishing position at that point. It's just making sure you get to the end.
If that's what they say, that's what they say, Dara. Right, shall we try? We'll try and do some results, shall we, from Heat 1. So let's see what we can do. If you want to take it away with the elite results for race 1.
I mean, this is great as well because I was just going to try and work out the points myself. But you've got it off on screen. This is fantastic. It means nothing else for me to do. But yes, William Humphrey is going to be the winner in the opening round. We've got Justin Rame, Tristan de Nobrega, and Jimmy Vyman, the top four, an array of nations as well, with Thomas Saborin in P5. Luke Lucchese, Ben Shalcraft, Chaz Draco in the top 8, ahead of Jeremy Orlemans and Jay Cooley in the top 10. A little bit further back was Ryan Ottens and Matt Hoyland. Ryan Ottens, of course, after that incident, relatively near the start. Matt Hoyland in 12th, and Ewan Stitchbury, after his couple of incidents happened near the start, finished in 13th. Florentin Marouard, James Peace, Sebastian Bonet, and Jeremy Litas. Oh, no, it's just Sebastian Bonet, I should say, were on the lead lap. And then Litas, Ed May, and Yanis Albert were all a couple of laps down, but all still, I believe, finished the race within enough to get the points. Well, Yanis Albert, 9 laps down, maybe didn't quite do enough. We move on, though, as we always do. We'll roll on to the Premier class then. In the opening round, it was Jean-Francois Chiquet who won out this time. The Frenchman won by quite a margin as well. Look at that, 33 seconds he had over anybody else. Robin Aston was second, but he led a couple of other drivers near to him. John Ostick and Martin Kenyon were third and fourth. Stephen Donnelly was fifth, ahead of Niazi Oshanar, Rob Smith, Henry Cullen, Jonas Larson, and Dennis Kuller in the top 10, with Maxim Dimitrov, the only other driver on the lead lap in the class with Chiquet, just showing how impressive that was from the Frenchman. We roll on down to who is Bas Schilstra and Rob Mackay in 11th and 13th, I should say, looking at two things at once. Ryan Murphy, Mike Murphy, Matt Stace, Ryan Rhodes, and Hussein Sarakadesla, the top 17. God, I'm getting ahead of myself, James. I'm seeing the names and I'm saying them before I'm saying the surnames. But that is the Premier class. And then, of course, in the Evo class, the third of the three, won out by Dale Williams, ahead of Francois Brian Dave and Rob Pickle, the top three. A little bit closer between those top three, with Steve Rubino, James Hayworth, Matthew Knoll, and Danny Weir, the top 7. John Ludbrook, Owen Seward, and Andrew Fellows were in the top 10, ahead of Oliver Lumsden, Steve Ewing, Ashley Brooks, Gareth Newton, Mark Wesley, and Luis Nevea. Luis Nevea, I don't think, quite finding the line in time, or at all, I should say. 8 laps down, may have had to do some repairs, but with some work to do in race 2. There we go, James. They are the, how many was that? Was it the 52 drivers, wasn't it, that we had in that race? Nice to have so many drivers on the grid, but not so nice when we have to keep up with all the action.
Not for your first time on camera and comms. Keep it up with 52 cars is absolutely manic. So a big shout out to Joe Glass, who managed to do TCRs all on his own last season, doing the cameras and the commentary. Sole commentary is I can only describe as being
Not fun.
astronomically difficult. So I know that Chaz also does it a few times. So fair play to them, and a big shout out to them. Speaking of shout outs, we'll just have a moment to once again thank our championship sponsors. So we've got Kamei, who provide us with the trophies for all the classes. We've got GP2 Group, Keenan Eco, and Medius. So a massive thank you to all of those guys for what they do in supporting the series, not only this series but also previous seasons, which have kind of helped Evolution Sim Racing grow and expand. So yeah, massive shout out and big thanks to you. Who's your money on, Dara, for race 2?
Oh no, you put me on the spot now. Oh god, I'm gonna say Chaz. I'm gonna stick with Chaz.
For the win.
For the win, he's on reverse grid pole, isn't he?
He
He
is.
can stay there. Yeah,
Wow,
he can stay
okay.
there. I have full belief in Chaz.
Are we?
Look, we've got to stick together as commentators. So I'm backing him all the way.
Are we putting a wager on it, or is it just?
Oh no, no. Yeah, I'm gonna back Chaz, but I'm not putting any money on him winning because, I don't. I'm not that confident. I'll be honest.
Yeah, don't worry, I won't tell him. He won't watch this back anyway, so I won't tell him. As it looks like, I can't believe that 5 minutes as the warm up has gone so quick. So we will try as soon as this transfers over to the race to bring up the grid for the race. and it looks like we've got another second to go for us to move sessions. We do, and we have only got 1 minute for us to go through, so I'll let you whip through, Dara.
Right, here we go then. Let's get ready. Jeremy Orleman is actually on pole, ahead of Chaz Drake. Got close though, but Chaz will start P2 and on the inside line. Ben Chalcraft in Lucchese's second row, third and fourth. Lucchese will be hoping for a little bit of retribution after race 1. Thomas Yaburin, Jean-Francois Chiquet, the winner in the Premier class, are on the third row. Jimmy Vyman, Tristan de Nobrega in the fourth row, ahead of Justin Rame and William Humphrey, of course. They were the top 2 in race 1. Jay Cooley, Ryan Ottensdale, Dale Williams and Matt Hoyland, the top 14, with Robin Aston, Francois Brandet, Rob Pickle, John Ostick, Martin Kenyon, and Ewan Stitchbury rounding out the top 10 rows. Stephen Donnelly, Steve Rubino, Niazi Oshinar and James Hayworth on rows 11 and 12, with Rob Smith, Matthew Knoll, Florentin Marawal and Henry Coolan on rows 13 and 14. 15 and 16 are Jonas Larson, Danny Weir, John Lebrook and Owen Seward, with Dennis Collar, Maxine Dimitrov, James Peace and Sebastian Bonnet just in behind them, running at the top 36. Andrew Fellows, Oliver Lumsden, Steve Ewing and Ashley Brooks in the top 20. As I didn't get through that quickly enough, James, we are going racing towards turn 1.
We are racing, Dara. There's no time for that.
Yeah, let's see. Danny from turn 1, 3, 4. There was a crash in the background. I don't know who that was, but someone was skewing off to the side of the racetrack. Orlemans and Chaz are going side by side up towards turn number 3 as we get into the S's for the first time. Chalcraft and Lucchese nearly going side by side as Jean-Francois Chiquet, the winner in Premier Glasses, getting through. Spin, though, I think that's Justin Rame. One of the drivers in contention for the win in the last race is going to be all the way towards the back of the field at the start of race 2. Not the start he would have wanted, but he's the only real main casualty at the front. Everyone else seems to have got through. Lucchese also already going for P3, and he's ahead of Ben Chalcraft through Dunlop.
Crazy start, crazy start. We're going to have to work out how we actually work these. What is the best way to try and catch everything on the first lap? But yeah, I mean, amazing start. Chaz has actually taken the lead, so I think he's probably heard what you've been saying, Dara, and he's decided that's it. He's checking out, getting the lead, and this is going to do his race the world of good, because keeping out of trouble, staying out front. Yeah, I can imagine that Chaz is an extremely happy boy right now. He will be if he knows he's on stream as well. And he's got Jeremy Orlemans behind him. Luke Lucchese is probably going to be thinking about trying to work his way through. We'll give it a few seconds to unfold, and then we'll try and have a look at the groupings. It looks like we've got Francois Brandet that's made his way up to the lead of the Evo class, and he's currently running P11.
Doing well as well, isn't he? For the Evo class. I mean, Dale Williams is there as well. Rob Pickle in P3 overall, but doing a very good job to be up in P11 in the Evo class. Brandet looking to try and defend his position, but all over the back of him is Matt Hoyland, who looking like he's trying to gain some positions. Didn't maybe have the best of qualifying that he would have wanted, but just trying to find any way through at the moment, but not able to do it on the back of the Frenchman in the number 28 car. First lap time's coming in, of course. Chaz will lead us down towards turn 1, but look at Luke Lucchese inside on Jeremy Orlemans right at the front of the field. Can he get this one done? He's going to push Orlemans a little bit wide, but not wide enough to try and get a bit of an inside line through the double for the second part of the opening corner, and he's going to have to sit in behind for a little bit longer. All the while, James, it's going to allow Chaz to get a little bit further up the road from these two.
Yeah, so we've got William Humphrey down in P7. So William would have been, as the previous race winner, William would have been on P10, I would think. So he's gained 3 places. Ryan Ottens has just tucked in behind him with Tristan and Abrega in 9th. So it looks like they may have stayed out of trouble on the first lap. I know that we did have one Alpha 1 Esports car having a bit of a spin, as we've got a bit of moment there for Jeremy. Jeremy Orleans has had a bit of a moment. Lost quite a few places there. As we've got that all looked tight.
Yeah. A big concertina effect, wasn't it, down in towards the hairpin, and it meant that they all just started to trip over each other. In the end, I think Jeremy Orlemans is going to lose 3 or 4 positions. Jimmy Vyman's going to go through. Ryan Ottens is going side by side, though. They're 2 by 1 by 2 into Spoon. Almost like a 5 in a deck of cards, really. In towards Spoon curve we go. Ottens is going to take that position to the inside, but in behind, Saborin's going to follow him through, and beautifully done as well as a tap from behind. I think that's Jimmy Vyman going around. I think it was Jeremy Orlemans giving him the love tap as well, and that's going to create a big concertina effect. It's also going to allow a few more drivers through, the likes of Rob Pickle, Stephen Donnelly, Dale Williams as well. Jimmy Vyman dropping out of the top 20. But it's just going to, look at how many cars are so close together on the way towards the Casio Triangle. This can only spell disaster, as Oshina looks at the back of Rob Smith, and they're too wide in front, and they're going to be too wide here as well in towards this tight right-left.
I'll tell you what, Dora, I'm quite glad that I'm sat this side. I don't think I'd want to be in this pack. My goodness me. It's... yeah, this looks very, very, very frantic. So let's have a quick look at what we've got in the group standings. So we've got Chaz still leading in the elite class. He's got half a second on Luke Lucchese. We've got Jean-Francois leading the Premier class. He's got a 5.4 second lead over Stephen Donnelly. So let's have a look where Jean-Francois is. He's running currently in P5, so he'll be very, very pleased with this. So he's got 5 seconds on Stephen Donnelly. Maybe some of that is the lead that he managed to gain in that first race, helping him keep out of trouble. We've got Niazi running in third, with Martin Kenyon right behind him in fourth. And then in the Evo class, we've got Francois Brandet, who looks to have made up quite a number of places. And Francois is now running P12 overall and leader of the Evo class. So yeah, Francois is having a great run. Let's jump on board with Francois and see if we can see how he's taking the inside line there. So it looks like he's got somebody running behind him. I'm guessing if we go to the overall standings, it's another Evo driver in Rob Pickle, but actually Rob has been moved into Premier, so maybe Francois is defending a little bit unnecessarily, but he will know that he's got the class lead because he runs iOverlay, which has got all the classes and the drivers, and he knows who he's fighting and who he's not. So maybe that's kind of thrown him a little bit if he's not set the class for Rob. But fantastic drive for Francois, running P12 and leader of the Evo class.
And it's good to see that the leader in the Evo class fighting it up there near the front, and the fact that we have got the top 3 in the Evo class in the top 15. Stephen Donnelly is second or second in the Premier class, I should say, and he's now behind all of the top 3 as Dale Williams made that move for P14 overall. Ben Chalcraft just at the fastest time, but it's been replaced. Thomas Saborin, you can just about see there, purple on his lap time. He's in P7, but he'll be looking to progress his way forward as the front train. You can see how close they are. At the front as well, just wanted to mention very quickly, Chaz Draycott only with about a quarter of a second of an advantage ahead of Luke Lucchese. You can see the two of them there, and Luke looking so calm and using such nice racing lines through this opening sector. Chaz maybe a little bit off where he would want to be, losing a couple of hundredths each corner, but they all do add up, and Luke is going to be all over the back of him. Or is he? Because he's gone around, he's hit the wall, and just as I said that he was looking threatening, James, he's just gone around, and he's gone around again, and that's a horrible place to try and get the car righted.
Oh, Luke will be absolutely gutted with that, because I think he would have probably felt that maybe he'd got the legs on Chaz, so it was just a matter of time. But yeah, he'd be disappointed with that. He'll be even more disappointed that we've caught it on stream. But hey ho, them's the breaks. So we've got Chaz Draycott, who's now got a 1 second lead on William Humphrey, and who's also, Chaz has got his teammate too behind him in Ben Chalcraft. So we've not really seen much of Ben in the race. Seems to have kept himself out of trouble, so to speak. And yeah, Ben's having a great run here in P3. Another driver that we've not really mentioned much of it yet is Yayan Stitchbury for ORA Motorsports. So Yayan is he likes running the GT4s, likes the slightly slower car than the GT3. I know that Yayan does a lot of the officials, and he does a lot of the endurance stuff, so he's running well up in P7, and he's going to be P6 in the elite class, so he'll be pleased with that. And just behind him we've got Jay Corley as well, running in P8 overall, but that will be P7 in the elite class as we have a look back at the grouped sections. That little incident's cost Jeremy massively. Jeremy's dropped back down to P8 and he's 3.3 seconds behind Jay Corley. Francois still leading in the Evo class, but he's got Rob right behind him, but Rob isn't in the Evo, so apologies for the wrong class for there. So we'll try and get that fixed for next week. Yeah, and then we've got Jean-Francois leading the Premier class, but we've got the Evo class showing higher than the Premier. That must be because of where Francois is running. He is. Francois.
That would make sense.
Yeah, Francois is running P9.
Isn't Shike ahead of him though, or has Shike dropped down now? I did see him go wide. Oh, he's ahead. Bit of a weird one.
It might be to do with the fastest laps that have been set
that could be true.
per class. Yeah. I noticed that we've seen this a few times before on some of the streams. I think Joe's had it before as well, but it's not too bad when you're running two classes. I think Chaz has had it before actually. One driver we've not mentioned much of is Rob Mackay. So Rob Mackay running in the DXT Magenta. Rob's currently running P31 overall. Rob very kindly offered to test the camera system for us last week, so it only seems fair that we'll jump on board with Rob. As you can see, mass concentration there, trying to keep back Sebastian Bonnet.
That trophy you were talking about as well, James, in the background.
Ah, there you are, yeah, the one that he bought off eBay. Oh, as there's an incident ahead and Rob's coming up into some traffic as he makes up two positions there, and at the same time he's got Sebastian also looking all over the back of him. So Sebastian is a elite driver, Rob's a Premier driver. Is he going to battle hard 130R? I don't think he will.
Yeah, let's see, inside line, it will be for Sebastian. Yeah, Sebastian's through, and Rob's going to have to be careful of the drivers behind. I've also noticed, change to the lead overall, William Humphrey has only just got past Chaz Drake, and I think that was down towards turn number 1. So William Humphrey now is the race leader. Chaz held on for the first 11 or so minutes, but now, as he will read, I want to go fast on the back of the driver in front of him. He'll want to go a little bit faster because I think he's lost a little bit of pace where he wanted to be. And William Humphrey, he said, thanks guys. Thanks particularly to Luke for spinning out, because he's going for, I think, both wins. He won the opening round, and he's looking to go back-to-back, which would give him a massive haul of points from the opening round, especially when you consider that the drivers that were around him at the same time, the likes of Justin Rame, aren't going to be picking up many points at all in this second race.
No, I've totally lost what's happened to Justin. So I think he's running overall P20 at the moment. So
yes,
I think maybe Justin's had a bit of an incident-filled race. I guess some of it depends on how much incidents are going to happen right in front of you. And I guess, you know, whilst we might not like to accept it, there's an element of luck that comes into it, because sometimes you can have, you know, both good luck and bad luck in terms of, you know, where there's an incident right in front of you. Another driver that's probably not performed exactly as he would have hoped for, again, could have been involved in the incident, is Tristan de Nobrega. So he's running P24 overall, so he'll be hopeful of kind of better things next time out. Tristan's one of the regular GT3 League runners, fantastically quick driver. I know that GT4 is a slightly different proposition for these guys, but nevertheless, usually the skills are transferable. Looks like we've got a great battle here going on between Danny Weir and Hussein Sarakodesla. We've not mentioned Danny much in the stream tonight, so Danny's picked up some amazing pace in GT3s and was absolutely fantastic in the TCRs, and he's having a great run out here, P26 overall, and Danny's looking at P5 in class as he gets an elite driver on the 283 that just sort of nudges his way forward, Sebastian Bonnet. So Danny probably won't want to fight him too much, but yeah, Danny's having a great run out, currently running P5.
Yeah, but a big gap up in front. I think P5 is going to be his his aim for this race unless something happens to the cars in front, but still a very good result all the same. Having to defend a little bit as we make our way towards turn 1. I think that's going to be Maxim Dimitrov in behind him in that Iron Brew car. I've seen some great liveries in this league, and that is one of them, along with the caramel livery. I cannot remember who that was, but I loved that livery.
Gary Mitchell.
That's it. I'm giving it a shout out now because I think about it sometimes and just we're talking about best liveries we've ever seen on a long broadcast, and I always bring that up because it was great. Anyway, back to the racing. You're right, Danny Weir trying to defend, but all over the back of him is Dimitrov now, and Dimitrov's going to have to be careful himself because Rob Mackay is in this battle along with Henry Coolan as well, and it's going to get a little bit messy if they start to trip over themselves in towards Degner 1. Was that side by side? It was nearly side by side, I think. Between Dimitrov and Weir. Actually, I think it was. Weir's ended up lost the position to Dimitrov, and now he's got two drivers right in behind him, and we're going to go side by side up towards the hairpin, in towards the hairpin inside line for James Peace, the elite driver who's still trying to fight his way through, and in behind that should be Rob Mackay trying to get through trying to get through to get towards the back of Dimitrov again, who is fighting for position in class. This is a all class, all chaos battle, isn't it?
Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Fantastic to see. Absolutely fantastic to see. We've not managed to catch, all the incidents with having a field, this big so far on the first time out. But yeah, it looks like we've seen some fantastic racing. Rob Mackay sneaking through there on his teammate. They'll be in voice chat, so I don't think Danny would have put up too much of a fight there. Just jumping back on with Luke Lucchese, so looking at the other DXT driver, Luke Lucchese looks to pull out alongside Matt Hoyland. It looks like Matt Hoyland might have had a slowdown there, because we've got Lucchese and Justin right behind him. So I mean, these two are going to be running front runner pace with a little bit of the field to work their way through, because they've got Rob Smith and Niazi just in front of them. So they're going to be, these three cars in front, that's going to be a bit of a challenge for them to get past, and one that is rather them than me, as Luke starts to look on. I think that's Rob Smith. It is Rob Smith that he's got running in front in the 144 flatline racing car. Is he going to make a move? Probably at the hairpin, I would imagine. Let's have a quick look and see.
I wouldn't imagine that at the moment Rod Smith is flatlining, as his livery and his team name would suggest, because he's going to be feeling the pressure, isn't he? Lucchese's around the outside. Oh, and that got very, very close. Justin Rame trying to follow him all the way around, tiptoeing around the outside, getting on the power earlier, getting the move done in the end is Justin Rame. And even though he will stay exactly where he is in the class, he is keeping pace with Luke Lucchese, which could be also important come the end of the season, with Lucchese and Rame looking like two of the contenders after what this will be the opening round of the season. Even if they're a little bit further back on points, so many points to be able to claim throughout the rest of the season. I've been looking again at the rulebook and having a little bit of a count up. In terms of the different formats that we have, if there's two 30-minute races, there's 100 points up for grabs. If there's two 20-minute or three 20-minute races, there's 150 points up for grabs. And if there's a 15 and a 45, there's 150 points up for grabs. So there's lots of different levels of points all the way through the season. And after the opening round, even if you're a long way back, it is by no means over. And I think a lot of the guys like Luke, like Justin, will know that, as there's clearly an incident as well between Oshinar and Marois, as they've slipped down the order, allowing Lucchese and Rame to go through. There they are, down at the Casio triangle, and I don't know what happened there between them as Oshinar. I think there's a slowdown there from Marois.
Looks like a bit of fisticuffs. It looks like they're caught on the street, boys. I'm sure the stewards will take great pleasure in looking at that one.
Well, it's great to try and call something like that, because everybody knows exactly what's happened, but you never want to accuse them of doing it.
Well, we can only use the word allegedly, Dara. So I mean, allegedly, a bit of fisticuffs, but
the lawyers on side.
Yeah, the one thing that we can say about Evolution Sim Racing is that we do have a fantastic team of stewards. So the stewards team will be. Any driver that gets reported, they do look into each and every one, and we have a very sort of strict criteria about how the potential licence points are handed out. So all of the drivers know exactly what they're coming into with the league, and as we've found in previous seasons, and we're now into our 6th season of GT3, it doesn't take too long to kind of iron out, you know, the one or two drivers that maybe just struggle a little bit making that transition into a league race environment.
You rule with an iron fist there. I think that's the nice way of saying that, isn't it? Just ironing out the drivers who are maybe causing a couple of extra problems. Hopefully that's no one so far this season. But we also might see Niazi getting a bit of a message from that as well. Anyway, moving on from that, move for P2 I've just seen on the tower. Ryan Ottens has made his way past Chaz Draycott for P2, and that is into the Castillo triangle. So an inside line, it seems, for the South African driver. I think I called him a Canadian, my bad. He is a South African driver in the 264. Chaz, though, looking like he wants to try and retake that position. Got a bit of a slipstream, but he's not going to be close enough, and if anything, weaving to maybe maintain a little bit of tyre temperature there. Interesting there from Chaz. I think in the back of Chaz's mind at the moment, he'll want to be defending that gap to the drivers behind, because that is quite a gaggle of cars. Shalcraft, Sabornin, Chicane, and Stitchbury. This P3 would be a fantastic result if he can hold on to it, and I think that's really going to be his main aim instead of trying to get past Ryan up for P2.
I've got another theory. Chaz might be thinking if he follows Ryan, he might be able to fuel save. So if the fuel is tight, which clearly for some of the drivers it did look tight at the end of that first race, so if the fuel is tight, maybe Chaz is looking to kind of lift and coast a little bit. He's got the security of his teammate behind him, so maybe he's just actually playing the sensible game of thinking, I can try and save a bit of fuel here. What was interesting, of course, Dara, is that we didn't see all of the top drivers' fuel, which is kind of surprising, because you would think that these cars would be similar in consumption, and the iRacing fixed setups that we run, as Yayan just looks to make a move there on the inside of Jean-Francois, so that's Yayan up to P6. Yeah, I don't know kind of what the differences in fuel must be car to car, certainly something that the league is going to look at, but yeah, in another 9 minutes time we're going to find out who's been fuel saving and who needs to drop into the pits for a bit of a top up.
Yeah, this is good. It might be tight. It might be tight for a couple of these guys, but it's also worth noting as well, with the reverse grid, the first few laps were a little bit slower than what we saw in race 1. So it is possible that we have a 1 lap shorter race here, with it being so tight on the time, that instead of getting there with an extra second in hand, we might have 1 second less than we'd need to complete the race. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But either way, it looks like William Humphrey, without some kind of big mistake from him, is going to be the driver to cross the line first in both of our races this evening and take what would be quite a commanding lead. Yeah, looking at that, he's just crossed the line. It's a 2-minute 8, and he crossed it with 8 minutes 24. 4 laps at 2 minutes and 8 seconds would be 8 minutes 32. So I think we're only going to have 4 more laps left in this race, rather than the 5 that we would have had in race 1.
What we need to do is we need to get some onboard fuel gauges for future racers, just to see where, as a Hussein looks like Hussein's trying to move up the inside. Missed that. Looks like he didn't get that move done, and he's now got the 257 car of James Peace on his outside, also in the Porsche. So these two cars will be similar on power. Let's have a quick look where we are in terms of. So Hussein's currently running P7 for the Suzuka GP2 Porsche. We've got Jean-Francois. It's going to be a second win for Jean-Francois Chiquet in the Premier class if he keeps this up. Stephen Donnelly, 19 seconds behind, Dara. That is some gap that Jean-Francois has pulled.
I think everyone else is going to be sitting there thinking, how are we going to be able to catch him over the rest of the season, even after race 1? Because that is quite a statement, isn't it? Incredible work in the opening round, and what a drive in both races so far. Looking like he's going to be absolutely the driver to beat in the Premier class, and it might end up being a bit of a race to P2, a bit like a season where the champion runs away with it and everyone else has to find him behind. I can't think of anything to use as a reference for that. The Premier class is, though, seeing some nice battles in the mid-pack. We've seen Dimitrov look for a few moves as he looks for again on Larson. Sarika Tesla, an experienced driver. Rob Smith, Stephen Donnelly, they're also experienced drivers. I think it's still going to be quite a good run throughout the season, and it could only take a couple of races from Jean-Francois to maybe have a couple of spins, a couple of contacts, and he's going to find himself right back involved in a quite a big battle in terms of a championship, so you can never get too comfortable. In the Evos, Rob Pickles had a good evening, it's fair to say, but obviously with the race 1 winner being Dale Williams, he'll be feeling pretty good. Francois Brandet was good as well in the opening round, and in race 2 doing a pretty good job as well. So it's nice to see that we're generally seeing quite a good mix with the drivers, and they're not necessarily, I mean, apart from the Premier, we're not seeing one driver stand out particularly.
No, I'm just looking down here at the Evo class. It looks like we've got a 5-car battle going on between Gareth Newton, who's got Steve Ewing just in front of him, with what looks to be Josh Ostick. Josh is behind him now as Dennis Collar. It was Dennis in the BWT livery that's thrown me, as Gareth looks like he's going to try for the move up the inside, and he's got Josh running just behind him, and just behind Josh we've got Henry Coolan. So we've not talked about Henry much this evening, as Gareth looks to go on the inside. Dennis has gone a little bit wide, Josh is in the middle. This is going to be tight as Dennis looks to hold his line. Oh, and we've got a bit of a nudge, and that's just knocked Josh off track, so that will have just put him out of sequence, so he'll be a bit disappointed with that. I know that these S-bends, I think they call it the snake section, they're incredibly difficult. One slight mistake from the driver in front and the driver behind's just got nowhere to go.
Yeah, I mean, it does get quite narrow, doesn't it, at parts in this circuit, with it being such a classic in the motorsport world. There haven't really been too many changes, and even up here towards 130i, you can see how tight the barriers are to the circuit. Any big accident, and you're going to find yourself spearing into that rather than finding a nice little bit of grass to go into. Inside line though now for Stitchbury, looking to get that move on Ben Chalcraft as they make their way through the Casio Triangle. Part 1 done, Part 2 is completed, but as Stitchbury looked for the move, as he opened the door too much? No, because Saborin can't walk through, and the exit's actually going to give the Welshman a good enough drive off of the corner to take P4, but Chalcraft is in the slipstream down in towards turn 1. He's going to have to go to the outside though, because Stitchbury claiming the inside line for himself. Can anybody do anything in the back of this battle, as well as they are 4 going into the opening corner? You could cover them with a blanket. Wide from Chalcraft, inside line for Saborin. He's made his way through. Great opportunistic move from him in his green and black car as they work their way through the opening couple of corners. But Ben Chalcraft was defending P4 in half a lap. It's all come undone. He's down to P6.
Oh, and my goodness. Oh, Ben's just been hit by Jean-Francois. Jean-Francois, the leader. He was the leader of the Premier class. He still is the leader of the Premier class. So that little gap that we were talking about, Dara, of 21 seconds, all of a sudden has now come right down. We'll see the timing screens update in a moment, but Stephen Donnelly, I think luckily for Jean-Francois, he's got enough time to actually just recover, get back on track, and he's probably not going to lose the lead. But yeah, that was very, very unexpected. I think Ben Chalcraft will be a bit disappointed there, because it looked like he got lost one position, and then Thomas Saborin actually just decided, yeah, the door's open, I'm going, and he went through as well. So Ian Stitchbury all the way up now into P4, 4.5 seconds behind Chaz Draycott. Chaz is having an absolute storming race. Only 3/10 behind Ryan. Going to be a podium in his first outing with the ESR GT4s. So I think with that gap of 4.7, with only 2 minutes to go, Chaz will be looking to bring this one home.
Yeah, I think this will be going on to the final lap. You can see dipping down now, 2 minute 8, 2 minute 6. This will be now the white flag. One more lap. We're not going to have any kind of shenanigans of, are we going to get an extra lap here? It will just be the final lap now. Can Chaz even pick off P2? I was saying that I don't think he'll want to attack because he didn't look like he had the pace, but he looks like he's got the pace now down towards turn 1. Got the slipstream, got the top line speed, inside line looking for it, but Ryan Ottens is going to chop across that line and say, yeah, you can look at it, but you're not going to be able to take it off of me. And Chaz Draycott having to sit in behind and wait, but he can't wait for much longer if he wants this P2. But, I mean, you mentioned it, this would be a great position to finish in anyway. P3, a podium in the opening round of the season. And I mean, he'd definitely be in the championship hunt near the front of the field with these kind of points already. So there's definitely positives to take if you are Chaz Draycott regardless. But he's still looking for it, pressuring Ryan Ottens and getting in his mirrors a lot.
He is. He definitely. In fact, I was so busy watching the. I didn't even see whether we're actually on the last lap. So we're going to have to check in with William Humphrey, our race leader, who's 5.5 seconds up the road. I think that they may have one more lap to do, Dara. You're the man with the maths. What do you think?
I think this is the final lap. I think they're just going to get it by a few seconds. I think Humphrey crossed the line with about 2 minutes 5.4 to go, and obviously it's a 2-minute 8 lap. So I think they'll have enough. I think this will be the final lap, but it's going to be close, it's fair to say.
And that would also mean that we might have a few less needing fuel. So I've not seen any jumping out on the timing tower yet. So as we go to the overall standings, we'll just stay on board with William as he comes up to the final few corners. As we can see Chaz in the background. Chaz is thinking about it now. He's eased off a little bit. There's a bit of a gap there, so I'm wondering if the fuel's kicking in and Chaz has just accepted that P3 is good enough. As William comes across the line, we do have the checkered flag out, so it's going to be a win for William Humphrey for Dennett Racing. Great performance from William, with Ryan Ottens in P2 and Chaz Draycott a well-earned P3. We've got Ryan Stitchbury coming across in P4. We've got Thomas Suberin in P5. Ben Shellcraft, the other CDM esports driver, in P6. Jay Corley coming across P7, flashing the lights. Looks like he's enjoyed that. Jeremy Orlemans, good race from Jeremy, P8. Jimmy Wyman, P9. And Jean-Francois rounded out the top 10 and still managing to win the Premier class, as all the other drivers are starting to come across the line now. We will go back and see who we can catch coming across the line. It looks like we've missed most of them by trying to stay with.
There we go. Okay, cool. I have to say, I like Rob Pickle's livery, which says dill on the side. Very in keeping with the pickle theme, it's fair to say.
I see what he's done there. I see what he's done there.
Yeah, clever, that. Full marks for Rob Pickle on that one, to be fair. That's a great idea for the livery. And he came home P37, not too bad overall. And I think, if I can count this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, ninth in class. So that's not bad at all. Lucchese, though, he's going to be gutted, isn't he? The 41st, last, really, of anybody to finish in the Premier class, or the Elite class. And got a lot of work to do for him. But he knows how to win in ESR, doesn't he? I'm sure he'll come back with quite a lot of vigour, it's fair to say.
He does, and we've got Oliver Lumsden just crossing the line. It looks like we've got Mark, who is the final driver to cross the line, and that looks like we have ourselves a result, Dara. So yeah, wow, where did those two races go? That was absolutely crazy for the first time out. So two fantastic races. Impossible to cover everybody and every battle for definite. Let's see if we can get some results up.
Yeah, of course, if anybody does have any complaints about the fact that their moves weren't covered, we do apologise, but I will say right now, blame James, not me. James will be off in a Golden Week summer. He'll be racing, and I'm sure Joe will be happily bantering him around as well. But we'll enjoy it while it lasts.
I think.
Anyway, here were the race results for race 2.
I think Joe's going to watch this back and think, I'm not coming back. Quite possibly, but yeah, feel free to take these results away, Dara.
Yeah, he'll stay on holiday. He won't come back. He'll leave us on our own. Anyway, William Humphrey then, 2 from 2 for him. He will leave Suzuka with 100 points to his name. An incredible start for him. Ryan Ottens P2, Chaz Draycott P3 in a great result from Chaz. Stitchbury and Sabora in the top 5 with Shalcraft, Cooley, Orlemans, Jimmy Vyman, and Justin Rame inside the top 10. Of course, Rame was right up there in race 1. So we'll have dropped back a little bit after those race 2 points are applied. Matt Hoyland and Florentin Marois 11th and 12th, with James Peace, Sebastian Bonnet, Tristan de Nebrega, and Luke Lucchesi the top 16. Then 3 non-finishes in that race: Ed May, Jeremy Litas, and Yanis Ulbe, who's had an absolutely horrific evening's worth of racing. I think he finished 19th in both race 1 and race 2. So a lot of work to do for the German in the field. In the Premier class, that's the second class, Jean-Francois Chiquet. We saw him go around, didn't we, through the S's, but in the end, again, somehow, despite that spin, comfortable win. 12 seconds was his margin ahead of anybody else, meaning that his winning margin over the course of the 2 races, if you add them together, comes to 46 seconds, that is, in 2 races. Incredible stuff. Stephen Donnelly was second, Rob Smith, Mike Murphy, and Oshanar was in top 5, even though he had that incident that we saw. Hussein Sawakadesh was P6 ahead of Dimitrov, Rob Mackay, Jonas Larson, and Dennis Curler in the top 10. Josh Ostick, Henry Coolan, Matt Stace, Martin Kenyon, and Ryan Rhodes in the top 15. And then it was Robin Aston and Bash Leesker, neither of them finding the line, along with Ryan Rhodes, who was 16th and 17th overall. And then after we have our first 2 categories, we'll get into our final, and that is the Evo results. And in the Evo results, it was Francois Brandet who won out by a relatively comfortable 7.5 seconds. It was Matthew Knoll, the Canadian driver, who finished in P2, with James Hayworth in 3rd. Dale Williams was 4th after he won the opening race of the evening, and then it was Luis Nevea who struggled in round 1 but came back a little bit stronger in race 2. P number 6 in the end went to Steve Ewing ahead of John Ludbrook, Rob Pickle, Owen Seward, and Danny Weir. Andrew Furlowes, Gareth Newton, Oliver Lumsden, Ashley Brooks, and Mark Wesley all finished, with a couple of those drivers a lap down, with Steve Rubino being the last driver, and sadly for him, I don't think getting much past the start. But there's all of our results. I'm going to try and do a little bit of maths here, James, to try and work out who's got some championship leads. But I'm not sure what we are. I don't know. What's your plan for the interviews? I'll ask you now.
Well, we can see we didn't talk to the guys about interviews after the stream, but we can have a look and see if we have some guys in for interview, and we do. So we can have a go and we can see what's what. So I guess if we just hold for a couple of seconds, we can see.
I'll drag them in a minute. But it'd be nice to chat to a couple of them just to see how they are feeling after their results. It's good to get a few of the drivers involved as well, because some of the drivers can be quite enthusiastic about sharing their experiences in the race. Some, they don't necessarily like interviews. They like to finish what they're doing and then go off and have a lovely rest of the evening. Some other drivers get really quite into it, love to give an interview and love to really give us a great perspective on how the race has been going. I don't know if we're ready, James. I'll leave that up to you.
Yeah, we're ready. If you want to bring in, I mean, it looks like we've got Chaz in there, so I'm guessing that Chaz is going to be the logical one to bring on in and have a little chat with Chaz and see how his evening went.
Yes, I'm going to drag in Chaz. He's the only elite driver that was in the lobby. So we'll say hello to Chaz. Evening, Chaz. Congratulations on the podium. I mean, you used to be feeling great about that. Maybe race 1 qualifying wasn't exactly where you wanted to be, but got in that reverse grid. I mean, talk us through the end of the race as well, because you were looking towards getting P2.
Oh, I'm absolutely buzzing, boys. Honestly, hello, flipping heck. That's my first league racing podium in probably about 3 years, that is. And
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's not. I say that like I've been league racing all the time, but yeah, I've jumped back into ESR with these boys, and it's great fun. I feel really, really bad on Mr. Is it Earlemans? Jeremy, I think it is, that was in the lead at the start. I just brushed against the back of him. I felt like a right idiot. I really didn't want to hit the back of him there. I just wanted to try and slide down the inside, but yeah, I didn't make that way. I didn't want to overtake him like that, but it's one of them things where he wasn't off, so I got my head down and cracked on. But buzzing, absolutely buzzing. Yeah, qualifying. I was happy with qualifying, to be fair. I said to my teammates Ben and Ed, who I must give a big thanks to, they've been brilliant tonight. I wanted a top 10 at some point this season, and we've come away with a podium already. I'm absolutely buzzing.
I mean, how does the car feel? Because many drivers in different machinery. How does it feel? Because obviously you've gone with, I think you're in the Porsche, aren't you? So you've gone with
Yes.
that. What were the reasons for choosing that car? Was it more stable? Was it fast? I mean, what was the thing behind it?
I think out of all the cars that we've driven, it's one. I said it to the guys before. It feels like it reacts best to muscle memory. It's the most reliable in my eyes. It gives you a plenty of communication when it's going to be a bit understeery, when it's going to be a bit oversteery, but it's controllable. It doesn't suddenly snap and kill you. It just feels the most predictable. And I think when you're in it as well, it feels small. It gives you this idea that it is sort of short and nimble. The front felt awful with about 10 minutes to go in that second race. It was horrible, but then I suddenly started closing in on Ryan and made a bit of a moron of myself on the last lap. But yeah, it feels good. I enjoy how it feels over a stint. It's not completely unpredictable.
That's kind of what you want, really, especially in a championship like this where you're going to be fighting all the time. So
Mm,
that's always a positive. I've done some totting up of the points as well, as you've been speaking, and I do believe, if I've done my maths correctly, you will leave this round third in the championship. So
Jesus
there is
Christ.
that as well.
Nah, your maths is off. Your maths must be off, mate. There's no way
Well,
I'm
no,
anywhere near
no, well,
that.
William Humphrey took both race wins, and then
Sweat.
in race one, Justin Raymond and Nobrega got the second and third, and in race two, they came 10th and 15th. So you then leapfrogged them by getting the third, and then of course in race one you got P8. So you got more than
Jesus.
them overall. I think it's quite close, but I do believe you've come out P3, which is incredibly impressive. But
Well,
congratulations, James. I don't know if you've got anything to ask, but I'll leave that. I'll leave them
oh,
to you.
not him.
No, don't tell him.
Not him.
Don't tell
I
him.
don't want to cut off James.
Don't tell him how much coverage we've given him, Dora, because then he'll be watching it back and waxing lyrical. We're never going to hear the end of it.
I won't be able to fit my head through my bedroom door in a bit.
Mate, you
No
were
chance.
you were awesome there. That was a fantastic race too. I bet you were really buzzing when you could see that start of the second race, and I think you were going to be on pole for a while, and then
Yes.
yeah, I think somebody dropped one position, and then it put you on to P2. How did that feel, knowing that you were going to be leading leading the field?
Oh, it was odd because I knew it was never going to last. But it was mighty entertaining. I was scared. I'm always better when I'm following somebody. So when I'm the lead car, I'm the idiot that crashes from the lead all the time. But no, I don't know. I was nervous, but I'm here to have a good time, and I'm not going to put too much pressure on myself to win these things or do too much with it. I was just enjoying it out there. It was mega, absolutely mega. But
Not
yeah, I can tell you that third place in the championship won't last either.
you were probably equally as nervous as I was trying to do the cameras to follow everybody. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's not easy, but I tell
it's
you what, I'm excited to watch it back.
I wouldn't get too excited. Anyway, Charles, before we let you go, is there anybody that you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yes, plenty of people. Spontex, the main name on the car, lovely, lovely people. I say that like I speak to them. Simply Race, Sneak Energy, GT Planet, everyone that's involved in the car, all the guys in the SRM community as well. You guys as well at ESR. It's fantastic being a part of the community. Ben and Ed, my teammates, they were both phenomenal tonight. Well done on Ben as well. I think he got a top 5 and a top 10 tonight. Ed was really unlucky this evening, so we hope for more from him next time round. And yeah, just you guys to the broadcast as well. Look forward to watching it back. It's been brilliant.
Thank you very much. Enjoy your evening, and we'll catch up soon.
Thanks, boys. We'll appreciate it. Cheers.
Speak to Chaz, isn't it? For the end of the race, his P3 got him onto the podium, and I have done the maths. I'm sure I've got that right. He is P3 in the championship, and if I've done it right as well, it'll be Saborin who's in P2 in the championship, despite getting only fifth twice tonight, which is a little bit of an interesting fact. Another driver I will drag in now is the other elite driver, who I think will be very pleased with his racing this evening. It's William Humphrey. Sorry if I've dragged you in mid-combo there, William. Well done. 2 wins from 2.
Thank you.
I mean, you must be feeling great.
Yeah, I'm elated. I haven't league raced in a few years, and I'm just absolutely pleased with this result. Could not be happier.
I mean, talk us through it as well, because race 2, you were starting a little bit further back. You had to fight your way through the field. How difficult was it in the early stages? Because, it can get quite chaotic down at turn 1. How difficult was it to pick your way through?
I had the inside line, so that was always nice. There's a few bits of chaos around me, but after we got out of the long left-hander after the twisties, it was pretty much a straight line until we got to the chicane, and then everything blew up. But honestly, I just went for anywhere that was less cars, just so I didn't crash into anything, and then went through that.
I mean, it's worked out well for you because you've won both races. You're going to leave here with a 34-point lead already in the championship,
Wow.
which is crazy to say the least. I mean, going forward into the next couple of rounds, of course, we've got different formats. But I mean, it's still the same, really, isn't it? Are you looking forward to the next couple of weeks after your dominance today?
Yeah, yeah, very much so. I don't think I'll be as dominant in other races, although me and my teammate were very skeptical coming to this race as it was, but I'm just hoping I can keep this form up for the rest of the season, hopefully bring the team back a trophy.
Yeah, good luck in doing that. I'll pass it over to James because I don't know if you've got
Right.
anything to ask James.
Yeah,
I've got.
I've just got one question. So you had the company of Justin Rain for I think for long periods in that race. So
Yeah.
how did you cope with that pressure? And was kind of driving in your mirrors or just do your own thing?
At that point, it was mostly about the fuel. We were all scratching for fuel at the end.
Great question. Great question. Yeah, we suspected because we thought that everybody would have enough fuel. You didn't stop for fuel, William, did you?
No, I managed to cross the line in the first race with 0.2 liters left, and
Ooh.
honestly, that is all due to my teammate Dale Williams. He helped me out finding the best places to save fuel while I was fighting at the front, and I just thank him a lot for it.
Brilliant. Well, I think we've got Rob Mackay to thank for the fuel settings because I did message Rob just before the race started, well, half an hour before, and said, "Are we absolutely certain that all cars can run 30 minutes?" And Rob said, "Yeah, no problem, at least 35." So, yeah, you heard it here first, folks. It's Rob Mackay. Drop him a message and let him know how satisfied you all are with that fuel strategy. So, great
It's good
night's
fun.
work, William. Great night's work. Before we let you go, have you got anybody that you want to give a shout out to?
Again, Dale Williams. He just helped me all throughout both races. Helped me with who was behind me, who was in front, where he was, and fuel. It was, and he's helped me practice all this time. He's an amazing teammate. Can't ask for any more.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, look, thanks ever so much for joining us for the
Thank you.
interview, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Unfortunately, that you've all got me again next week because Joe Glass is not back yet for another 2 weeks. But yeah, cracking nights racing, and well done, and we'll probably see you in for an interview next week.
Hope so. Thank you, man.
Cheers, William.
Thank you.
Great to be able to speak to William Humphrey then after his double win. It's just incredible the form he's been able to get. Looking at who we can bring in next, we've got 3 more drivers in the interview booth. We'll bring in John Ostick, the driver in the Premier category, and Josh, we'll get him in now. Welcome in, Josh. Well done this evening. I mean, a couple of a good result in the opening round, a podium, maybe slipping a little bit away in race number 2, but you must be pleased with a good start to the season.
Yeah, very, very. I was almost not going to race tonight. I was feeling a bit under the weather, and I got in a bit late. So came in with 2 minutes left in practice. Hadn't done any, so I was like, I'll get an out lap. Went out for qualifying. Was like, it feels all right. And then just kept it clean in race 1. I didn't have much pace. Just everyone else seemed to have pretty bad luck, and so yeah, came across. I think I got 2 people on the last lap from them running out of fuel. And yeah, kept it clean in race 1, and then race 2 just fell apart really. I had an incident which was most likely my fault into turn 1. I had a look back at it, and I probably moved across a little bit too much, so I deserved that. Luckily, I didn't ruin anyone else's race there, so it was just me. And then yeah, it was just messy from there. I had a bit of damage, got hit in the last chicane, and then had a bit of steering damage, but tried to just keep it on track and get what I could. Yeah, it was a fun night. Good start.
One question I've got for
Yeah,
you, Josh, is
Yeah.
sorry, Dara, I just interrupted there.
No, it's fine.
Is what happened with the fuel? So, I mean, how were you looking on fuel in both races?
As I said, I didn't do any practice, so I actually didn't know anything about what the fuel would be like. I don't have a fuel calculator open, so I was just driving, and then it was only when I started overtaking people that were going at half speed that I opened my fuel and was like, oh, might actually be a bit tight on fuel. But no, I was all right. I think I crossed the line with 0.8, I think it was, so I had plenty. I don't know what what everyone else was doing to struggle so much, but I was all right.
I take it that there was a little bit of chat going on over the voice chat about fuel. I could only guess.
Yeah, there was quite a bit. I was we were stressing a bit in race 2, and then yeah, my teammate Yayan, when he said that it was white flag, I was thanking the gods for that one.
Well,
Yeah, definitely.
You got through, mate. You got through. So look, thanks for
Just
joining
about.
us for the interview. Is there anybody that you want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, probably Yayan, teammate. He always wanted us to race. Always wants us here. He's very supportive, very quick person, very kind and forgiving. So, yeah, probably Yayan.
Fair play, mate. Fair play. Well, look, have a good evening, and we look forward to seeing you again next week.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Cheers.
Nice to speak to Josh then, and that leaves us, James, with 2 more drivers in the waiting for interview channel, and they are, and I'm going to bring them in reverse order, if I've done my maths right on the championship. I'm going to bring in Andrew Fellows first. Andrew Fellows, who of course, sorry Andrew for cutting you off mid sentence there.
No, that's fine.
Who of course did very well this evening. I mean, talk us through your evening, because it looked a little bit up and down. You were here, there, and everywhere. How was it for you?
So race 1 was fantastic. I somehow qualified P2 after like P11 in practice. Had a really good battle with John LeBrook and I think it was Steve behind me for the entire race. And then I got past John into second place 2 laps from the end. And then going into 130R, we touched and we both ended up in the barrier. So unfortunately, I think I finished 10th after a quick pit stop to repair. That was race 1. It is what it is. It was a good race up until that point. Shows I got the pace to run in the top 5, so I was happy with that. Race 2, had a dismal start running into the back of my teammate in turn 1. Fortunately, we both continued. And then it was what happened then? Yeah, so the end of the lap, I went side by side through the chicane with a BMW. I'm not sure who it was. They spun across my nose, which slowed me. And then I got tagged by Josh as he exited. He had more speed than me and just tagged me. It wasn't intentional. It was just a coming together on the apex. So that was me last.
I mean, good stuff to build on, though, isn't it? As we get in towards the season. Fuel, though, in that second race, it's become a little bit of a running theme throughout these interviews. How was the fuel for you? Because I know a few drivers were close and a few didn't quite make it.
Yeah, I think the fuel was fine. Race 1, I think I'd have crossed the line with like less than a litre. Normally, I overlay's pretty spot on with it. So yeah, I think I'd have been okay. But because I towed from 130R, obviously I then had less running time so I was actually fine. And then race 2, because I was a little bit further back and we did a less lap, I had about 3 litres. So fuel for me wasn't an issue, to be fair. But in that first race, I think it caught a few people out. So I think I gained like 3 places or something daft after my pit stop to finish, I think, P10 or something.
Something like that. Hang on, I'll get it up. I think it was P10 in race 1. Yeah, race 1 you were P10, race 2 you were P11. So pretty much, a similar story in terms of the points. But I mean, it's still a good basis to build off of. I'm going to pass you over to James, because I know that James will have something to ask. James,
I've got absolutely no questions for this guy. He's usually pushing me off the track and all sorts. So good evening, Andrew. How are you?
I'm good, mate. You?
Yeah, we're good, mate. We're good. Listen, thank you very much for doing the camera thing for us, for testing it out. It looked like you had a really, really eventful evening. The car looks fantastic. Looked like a great night's racing anyway. So didn't get that win, which we know is definitely coming this season, because I understand that last season you had quite a few second places. Is that right?
I did, yeah. I think there was a running theme, wasn't there, in TCR? If I'm second, there's a James in first, whether it was yourself or the other one. There was always a James in first place, and that happened in the standings as well. But yeah, it's starting second. I was hoping for the win. in all fairness, but Dale was rapid, and I got caught up and I've catch him. So to be running third and second, first race is pretty good. Suzuka's not probably my best track, but we'll have to wait and see how the season progresses.
How do you find the? I'm not going to keep you too long, but I mean, how do you find driving the GT4 car versus the likes of the GT3 or the TCRs last season? What differences can you feel in the car, and how do you approach it?
I feel with the TCR I could control it a bit better from a slide. So if it started to slide, you just floor it from a drive car, nice and easy to save a slide. In the Merc, in the GT4, it's a lot more difficult. Like if you get a tap from the rear, you be pretty much going round from that point of view. But I think it's quite stable over the curbs, so I'm quite enjoying it. To be fair, I think it's quite neutral, so it's not too understeery, not too oversteery. And same with GT3s. I think they're the sort of similar sort of series. They're just a little bit quicker.
Well,
I'm all right with them.
you certainly did well tonight, mate. And I'm looking forward for two reasons. I'm looking forward to Joe Glass getting back. One is that he can do the commentary, and two, I can get back on track and have a bit of sort of rubbing and battling with you guys. So just before we let you go, Andrew, is there anybody that you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah. So first of all, shout out for you guys, obviously, for putting the championship together and the live stream. Really looking forward to seeing it back with two commentators, which is different, and also the cameras and stuff. See how that all looks. And yeah, just everyone in the championship that I race against are all really good. And to Flatline Racing, they asked me to join their team, and yeah, so see how we get on.
Absolutely brilliant, mate. Well, enjoy your evening. You'll enjoy watching the stream back, certainly the last bit, because all of your driver interview has been done with no bumper. So,
yes, that's why I pitied on that second race, because I was understeering like crazy. I wonder why.
Yeah, so you'll like watching that back. But really good to speak to you, mate, and have a great week, and we'll probably see you next week.
Yes, I should be. I've got to do a bit of jiggery pokery work to go in a bit later, but should be all right.
Very good, very good. Have a nice evening, Andrew, and thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. Cheers, guys.
Great to speak to Andrew, even if you are a big rival, James. And that leaves us with one more driver to speak to, and that is Francois Brandet. Francois, welcome in. I mean, what an evening for you! A win and a second place. You're going to lead the championship coming out of this. I mean, you must be feeling fantastic.
Yeah, hey guys. Yeah, I'm ecstatic at the minute, especially since I spent the whole weekend being fully depressed because I was nowhere near a competitive pace. So a bit of voodoo magic happened. I don't know who used it, but yeah, great. Way better than what I expected.
Yeah, but I mean, a great building stone as well for you for a championship. 95 points in the opening round. I mean, how good did the car feel? Because it looked like you had it under so much control during the race.
Well, I've always been quite a big Porsche guy on iRacing, so it's obviously my first season driving the GT4. I used to do a couple of officials, but I was not really taking the car too seriously because I was focused on the GT3 variant. But yeah, I think it's a pretty balanced car. It's pretty nimble as well. I think it fits my style because it's pretty easy to get pace out of the car, and like the skill requirement is low enough for me to be competitive in the car. So I'm really happy about it.
That's great. I mean, it's good that you also have that chance to build on a little bit more as we work in through the rest of the season. James, I know Francois is going to be someone that you're going to be watching out for on track. Have you anything to ask him? Maybe pick up a couple of tips before you get in the car.
Watching out for him. I'm definitely going to be staying well clear with this kind of pace. Good evening, Francois.
Hey, James.
How are you doing?
So happy right now. It's been so long since I last won anything, and doing like a P2 and a P1, it's fantastic.
Well, look, don't worry, because when you told me not to tell anybody about having to clean up your living room, I've not told anybody, so we've just kept that between us, okay?
Yeah, I'm glad you can keep a secret.
Yeah.
'cause
Don't
I
worry,
love you,
mate.
man.
Mate, don't worry, mate. Don't worry. Honestly, that's just kept nice and quiet between us. But on a serious note, thank you for joining the camera test, shall we say? Joe Glass is going to inherit that little bit of technology that he's going to have to run in in the following week's races. It looked like you'd got something happened at the race 2 start. We were really struggling to keep up with all the action, and then all of a sudden you seemed to be like in the top. Was it P9 or P10?
Yeah, I
Tell
think.
what happened at the race 2 start.
Well, the only thing I was focused on in the race to start really was Dale because he finished first in Evo in race 1, so he was just a couple of like 1 row ahead of me in the beginning of the race 2. So I was just focused on his car. I got a better start than him, so I passed him just even before the first like turn. So I was pretty happy about it, and then just people were starting to take each other out. So it's a bit weird because you don't see much. You try obviously to slow down, but the guys behind you they don't see what you're seeing, so you have to be wary of what's in front, what's behind, what's dying on the side of your car. At one point, I had to slam the brakes, or I would have taken I think 2 drivers out because somebody spawned stuff like that. But I'm just glad I made it through okay. And yeah, I think it's when I got new to the uphill hairpin. I just checked my relative and I was like, sorry, why am I overall like 8th? What's going on?
Amazing, mate. Absolutely brilliant. So, what about next week? Road Atlanta next week. How do you feel about that track moving forward?
Well, just to put it lightly, it can't be worse than how I felt about Suzuka because it's really not a track I enjoy on a proper car. I think it's one of the best car for Super Formula, which is a series I love. But I came in as with very low expectations, especially since I was a victim of an iRacing graphical issue that they fixed last I think Wednesdays on the patch, so I could only get very little practice. But Raw Atlanta is a track I'm already quite used to in a car, so I really can't wait. I think just tonight's finish is a big boost of confidence, and it just wants me to practice even more and have more nights like that. I think it could not have been like outrun more perfectly for me. So one can only wish to have only nights like that, right?
Brilliant, mate. Well, look, absolutely fantastic night, and again, thank you for joining us on the both in the interview, but also on the camera that we were running. We did catch some of your racing. We tried not to stress you too much, but hopefully you'll enjoy watching that back. Just before we let you go, because we're coming to the end of the interviews, is there anybody that you want to give a shout out to?
Well, of course, a shout out to all of my DXT friends. You know, we 9 drivers this season from DXT. It's a great 3 full team with a lot of friendly people. And also a little shout out to Yayan Stitchberry, who also gave me a lot of advice on how to properly start the car, which is quite a good thing. And I think that helped me tonight. And yeah, I think Evo is going to be great. A lot of drivers seem to be quick this season, so I just can't wait to race again, really, man.
Brilliant. Well, you're out again on Thursday, so when you're out on Thursday, if you see a blue McLaren coming up behind
I will
you,
take you out. Yeah.
just make sure that you leave plenty of space. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I got the wrong order. I thought I was supposed to take you out.
Okay,
I
mate.
need to read my DMs.
Look, have a great evening, Francois, and thanks for joining us. And we'll probably catch up with you next week.
Yeah, you two lads. Good job on the cast as well. Have a good night.
And you, thank you.
Right then, James. I think we've got everybody who wanted to be interviewed. I think we can
We
we can sign off here. I don't know whether you want to do the signing off. I know you
well,
you've
we
got
leave
the buttons. I'll let you take over.
we leave no man behind. So so yeah. Okay, so we're just kind of wrapping up now. Hopefully people have enjoyed the stream. Apologies if we didn't manage to cover everybody in the race. It was absolutely impossible first time out for 52 cars in the grid. Anybody that wants to get racing with Evolution Sim Racing, if you scan the QR code that you can see on screen, or the link is in the description below. We are full. Our GT3 and GT4 series are both full, that run on Mondays and Thursdays, but we do have waiting lists for those series. We also have a Sunday Social League, which is a GT3 and GT4 multi-class, where sign-ups are always open, and we start at 7:30 on a Sunday. So if you're interested in that, then please feel free to join up and come and have a chat with us. Next week we're at Road Atlanta on the 7th of October. Not a track that I'm familiar with, so I'm going to be relying on Dara to do a lot of the heavy lifting next week, which you have also done this week, Dara. But next week, as Dara mentioned earlier, we have 3 20-minute sprint races, so that's going to be interesting to see how 50 plus cars make it round Road Atlanta for 3 20-minute sprint races. We've got race 1, where the grid order is set by qualifying. We've got race 2, which is a reverse 10 for the race 2 start, and then race 3 is a reverse 15 of the race 2 result, and all 3 races will attract the same championship points, the standard. So 150 points on offer for next week. What are your thoughts on Road Atlanta, Dara?
It's narrow. I can only imagine it's going to be quite chaotic, but at least there you can see on the picture there, actually there's a little bit of grass coming through the S's down the hill. But it's going to be chaotic. If this week is anything to go by, it's going to be crazy.
Well, we'll be there, and we'll be either capturing as much of it as we can, or we won't. We'll certainly do our best. So I think that's all that we've got time for this evening. Just a big shout out to you, Dara. Thank you very much for joining us, and a very warm welcome back to Evolution Sim Racing in the comms booth. It's been a massive help to me. There's no way that I could have done this as a sole commentator and broadcaster tonight. And yeah, I'm sure that Joe will be watching this back and can't wait to work with you. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Thank you for having me back. I've been looking forward to going back since you asked me quite a while ago.
Brilliant, mate. Brilliant. Okay, well, look, that's us signing out for tonight. Thank you very much for watching. For the people that are still in the stream, we will be back same time next week on Monday for Road Atlanta, where we'll do our best to put on as good a show as we can while we wait for the genius that is Joe Glass to come back from his alleged holiday, alleged work, which is actually holiday. So, yeah, have a good evening, everyone, and we'll see you next week.